fondly. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest or conflicts of interest or any other? Hearing none, thank you. We have a few ceremonial activities, but it's my pleasure to start with introducing a gentleman that's no stranger to this place. Certainly one I had the pleasure of serving with, as some others on this council did as well. And it's to introduce Alderman William McCullough, who has been appointed the honorary chair of the Hamilton Veterans Committee for life, in fact, which I think is spectacular. So let me tell you a little something about Bill. Bill has served our community faithfully for decades, and in return, we have put our faith in him. He was elected alderman in the former city of Hamilton to represent Ward 2 for 30 years, from 1964 to 1996, and then again from 1968 to 1997. I still think he's the longest serving member of council, bar none, even longer than you, Councilor Jackson. But
just carry on.
okay, yeah, just
8 years.
Is it 8 years?
A whole decade.
Wow, okay, well, that's not even close. 30 years Bill McCullough served in this great place on behalf of our great city. He had numerous accomplishments. Sitting on the Police Services Board, he earned a bachelor's degree in honors from McMaster and a significant contribution to the Hamilton arts community, including managing and owning a variety of restaurants and theaters. His passion for Hamilton's history led to his role as a founding member of both the local Architectural Conservation Society Advisory Board, now known as the Municipal Heritage Committee, and the Hamilton Historical Board and the Joint Planning Subcommittee. In addition, Bill played a vital role in developing Hamilton's civic museums, including the restoration of Dundurn Castle, the preservation of the Hamilton Military Museum, the protection of the sunken warships, the Hamilton and Scourge, which actually made the cover of National Geographic, as I recall. He also served as the co-chair of the city's 50th and 60th Veterans Day Anniversary Celebration Committees. Bill served in the Royal Canadian Navy during the Korean War. He was later attached to the U.S. Navy on the Canadian light cruiser, the Quebec. He retired as a lieutenant commander in 2012 and was presented with the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal for his work with the Hamilton Veterans Committee and the City of Hamilton. The designation that we are honoring today is of particular significance because in his role as chairman of the Decoration and Memorial Day Committee, Bill initiated the Hamilton Veterans Committee back in 1972. So we would say thank you, Bill. It is with admiration for your accomplishments that we honor you today, and your designation as honorary chair of the Hamilton Veterans Committee. And I want to introduce, and he's sitting right over there, Bill McCullough. I asked him if he wanted to say a few words, and he said, well, in a different time, in a different place, he'd have been all over it, but wasn't feeling necessarily up to it today. But Bill, we congratulate you for your long service to the City of Hamilton, and we know that you're going to do a spectacular job as the honorary chair of the Veterans Committee, so we thank you for that. Councilor Marullo, you want to say a few words?
I do indeed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm very proud to have brought this initiative forward as a member of the Veterans Committee, and I know that former councilor, Bernie Morelli, late Bernie Morelli, and I spoke about Mr. McCullough's significant contribution to the creation of the Veterans Committee, which is unique in Canada. And to this date, I believe we are the only municipality in all of Canada that has this particular committee. So when bringing forward this particular initiative, I thought, what better person than to acknowledge former Alderman McCullough in his endeavors, but not only in his service to the city and to council, but also him being the founding member of that particular committee. So I do want to commend Councilor McCullough, and as I mentioned to his daughter Sarah, who's also present here this evening, in that I can recall as a child, unlike many 10-year-olds, I used to watch council every Tuesday night with popcorn as entertainment. And and he was bigger than life to me back in those days. And I do recall that he did serve in the Navy, and that was prominent in a lot of the discussions that occurred throughout my formative and throughout adolescent years. And I'm very proud to be here this evening to be part of this. And I think we all should be. And I applaud former Alderman McCullough's contribution, not only to the Professional Committee, to the Council, to the City of Hamilton as a whole, but basically, and he's here today, I applaud his efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councilor Jackson.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. And for Bill McCulloch, Alderman Bill McCulloch was a household name in the city and on regional council, and was re-elected many times in Ward 2 in downtown Hamilton, and richly and deservedly so. He also was very respectively the past chairman of the police board, and reappointed many a times to the Hamilton Police Services Board as well, along with many other contributions he made. When I arrived 25 years ago as a rookie, I looked up to people like Alderman Bill McCulloch, Alderman Vince Agro, John Smith, and some others who had the wisdom, had years of experience at that time, and showed me and taught me and instructed me on how best to serve my constituents and the city overall. So, and his lovely wife Ina always remembered, and Sarah, nice to see you as well here, his daughter. So I'm just so glad. God bless Alderman McCulloch with many more healthy, happy years, and has left just a legacy of accomplishments in our community. And I'm one of few members around this table who had the distinct pleasure of serving with him. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councilor Whiting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the privilege when I was Chief of Staff for Bob Morrow to work with Bill, and Bill represented everything heritage. He was a champion for heritage issues, whether it was ACMA or certainly the Scourge. I mean, the Mystic ships. I know that the Great Lakes Conference, we did there was a presentation on those Mystic ships, and there was applications with the federal government to ensure that we could preserve and protect from divers and etc. Bill served this community with dignity. He was a professional, and he is very compassionate with this community, and it's an honor to say thank you, Bill, on behalf of all the residents I represent. Thank you.
Councilor, thank you. Councilor Kuzuka.
Thank you, Mayor Eisenberger. I just wanted to say, this is really terrific that Councilor Merler brought this forward. I do sit on the Veterans Committee with him and some other members, which I want to acknowledge here, sir, is Chairman Bob Fife sitting up there, Art Tompkins right there, and then their wives. And I believe I've seen Fern Viola come in here too. He may be back here. There's Fern sitting on the committee. I don't think I missed anybody else, but we do sit on the committee. For me, it's an honor to sit on there, having a son in the military, and for Mr. McCulloch to be an honorary on the board. So this is terrific tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we missed Fern. You missed the singing of the national anthem, Fern. That's not like you. But we'll catch you next time, for sure. Thank you all. You know what? I had the pleasure of serving with Bill McCulloch as well. And as Councilor Jackson said, when I first got here, it was kind of foreign territory. And so we learned from some very experienced hands, and Bill McCulloch was certainly one of those. He wasn't preachy, but he did lead by example and gave some very clear direction that, in a very gentle way, in terms of how you could do your work here as a councillor better. So, Bill, thank you for all your great work and all your great work throughout the city, Ward 2 specifically. And we appreciate everything you've done, and I'm sure you'll be doing much more in the future. So, thank you, Bill, for being here tonight. All right. I think Anna's going to take you out for dinner. That's the bonus. The bonus round happens right now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good to be here. So, members of council, we have a number of awards to hand out today. Business Appreciation Awards for annual appreciation of the awards, acknowledging the commitment and contribution of both small and large businesses in each of the city's 15 wards. Today, we're recognizing small and large businesses in 9 of our wards, not all of them tonight, that significantly contribute to Hamilton's economic development and demonstrate a commitment to this community. So I'd like to ask, in turn, the councillor of the board to come up, in this case, Councillor Farr, and we will present some awards to each of the the recipients in the area. So the first award goes to a large business category, and that is to Taylor LeBeau, accountants and advisors. Neil, coming up as well.
Mr. Mayor, councillors, thanks very much for this award. Certainly appreciate it. Some familiar faces, councillors I served on the Board of Darts many years ago. It's a third generation accounting firm. Just been really appreciative of what we've been able to achieve in Hamilton. Rowie and Hamilton and stay committed to Hamilton. Thanks very much for the award.
Thank you. And in the small business category, Emil Fazaro, custom tailoring. Emil? Yeah.
Want me to say a few words? All right, a few words I will say. As long as I don't mention or remember when I started, it's a long, long time ago. But the fact is, I'm still here today and glad to have a business in Hamilton and the clientele I have. I better don't keep on going, otherwise nobody wants to hear my speech. Thank you very much.
Handsome Rule, if you would join us up here. And I was admiring Emil's suit. Of course, it's a fine tailored suit, of course. In the large business category for Ward 4, Lowe's Home Improvement.
Quick word, thank you very much. I know the staff at the store really appreciate all the customers that come in, and we enjoy being in Hamilton. Thank you.
And in the small business category, Cafe Limoncello. Yeah.
On behalf of Rocco and I would like to thank you for this award. It's greatly appreciated. Rocco and I have lived in Hamilton all our lives. Our parents still live in Ward 3. We started Cafe Limoncello 11 years ago. We purchased our building and opened it up. A lot of our family and friends thought we were crazy going on Ottawa Street, but being part of that community for many, many years and generations, we felt that there was a niche going to happen, and it is happening. I would like to personally thank Sam Marula for all his hard work. I know we've come to him many of times for different things, as well as special thanks to our new Ward 3, Matthew Green. He's also been very supportive as well, being on the Ottawa Street BIA, and I am the chair of the new Ottawa Street BIA, and doing a lot of different works, and the street has come such a long way with not just restaurants and cafes and antiques and fabric stores, and I can go on and talk about Ottawa Street forever. I also like to give a special thanks to Jason Farr as well. I know that Rocco and him go back a little bit, and I know that Rocco is in his ward with Net Access. He's a partner in that as well. Being on Ottawa Street, obviously, we are opening up a bakery as well in 2016 spring. So it's going to be a great adventure again. And I do want to personally apologize to all three councillors. I know when they come in for breakfast or lunch or dinner, that is my opportunity to bounce and talk shop. And I do apologize. I will try not to invade you too heavily when you are enjoying your meals with your families. Once again, thank you so much for this award. We greatly appreciate it.
All right, next category is Ward 5, and we have Councillor Collins, if he'll join us. We have two categories as well. Large business is Socotech Limited in Ward 5. An award winner.
Mayor Fred and Chad, thank you very much for this great recognition. We've been down at the East End since 1988. It's 27 years now. And on behalf of the 200 plus employees at Socotech and our next generation, I think we're going to be there for quite a while, so we may be seeing each other again.
And in the small business category, we have East Place Chinese Restaurant.
I'm not ready because I didn't expect to speak. And we started in summer '79. So, and we're very honored that we're able to receive an award. And I'm glad that to decide to stay on to Hamilton. It's a great city, and we made the right decision. Thank you.
You can come back and say that anytime, actually. Ward 6, Councillor Jackson. The large business category, PJ Daily Contracting Limited. PJ Daily. Accepting the award on behalf of PJ Daily Company is Danju.
Mayor, councillors, this means a lot to our family. We've been in the construction industry since 1953. My late parents, my two brothers, both retired. I'm the last one left. With my 5 children, 2 of them coming into the business. We are proud to say that from the Niagara Falls Casino to the Thunder Bay Courthouse, major buildings across Hamilton, if we haven't been involved in the biggest one, it would be the second biggest one. And it's all because of the people, the workforce we have from this great city. And I thank you all for this. Thank you.
Small business category, Nick Shoes Repair and Leather Goods and Mary's Alterations.
Mr. Mayor, it's because of Nick and Mary that my shoes and my pants always fit. Thank you.
I say thank you to the mayor, to the council, to everybody. I'm 30 years in business, and I wish I can stay another 30 years. I want to say one thing, keep walking and come and see me. Thank you.
Ward 8, Councillor Whitehead, if you'll join us. And we have the large business category, the Columbia International College.
Just for my councillor colleagues, our Columbia International College spreads through 3 wards, Ward 1, Ward 2, and Ward 8.
And growing, and growing.
Thank you very much for the award. I came to Canada in 1972 as an international student. I had $800 in my pocket, paid $500 for the tuition fee. I lived through the year with $300. Now I employ 475 staff in Hamilton, and we're the largest private boarding school in Canada. So thank you to Hamilton for a great environment. Students from 70 countries enjoy their time studying in Hamilton. Thank you.
And in the small business category, Sam's Esso. Sam.
This is another one of those where Sam has made great investment throughout this community, and with no exception, he really cleaned up a corner in Upper Paradise and Stone Church, and the community is grateful for that. Thank you.
Mayor Fred Eisenberger, members of council, thank you for this acknowledgement. We are overnight success that only took about 35 years. Our roots go back to the early 60s as Rainbow Petroleums. Since then, we converted our stations over to Esso. We are the largest independent dealer in Canada. Terry's, thank you for the nomination here. Our latest investment was at Upper Paradise and Stone Church, but we're also at Fruitland Road, Trinity Road. We have 3 more investments that we'll be having in the next couple of years. Born and raised in north end of Hamilton, I have an affinity for this area, so much so that we've invested in the waterfront Circle restaurant. So if anybody wants gas, if anybody needs food, what did I miss? Anything else?
Good game of squash.
Good game of squash. Thank you very much. I have the pleasure of representing Hamilton, especially in Toronto, because a lot of the petroleum people are from that area in Calgary. And I got to say that I think we are the feistiest people alive. And I defend this city to my last day. I love it, and I hope that we have your support as the small business people and as large business people, that when we need your help, that you're there behind us, especially with the noises that are simple.
Very good. Thank you. Councilor Pearson. In the large business category in Ward 10, Tircon.
Thank you. I'd like to thank, on behalf of all of our employees at our two Stony Creek plants, I'd like to thank the mayor and this council for this award and the support of watching our automotive business continue to grow in this tough automotive supply market. So thank you very much.
I just wanted to say also thank you to Terry. I had a pleasure meeting him a little while ago and also was able to suggest and recommend that we were putting his name forward, the company's name forward for this nomination. And Tircon actually joined Stony Creek in 1999 with a build of 162,000 square foot facility on Arvin Avenue. And I'm proud to say that they've extended a further facility to over 100,000 square feet, again in Ward 10 in Stony Creek. And we welcome any more growth and development, Terry, at any time, and they're always a pleasure to have. And great company, very, very, actually no intrusions on the neighborhood or surrounding areas. So thank you.
And in the small business category, the Canton Takeout Chinese Food.
I wasn't really prepared to make a speech today, but I'd like to thank you all for the award. And I know my parents are like the most hard-working people I've known in my life. I'm about to go off to university. I can't think of a day that they've ever taken off. I'm 18 years old, and they're taking care of me. And they're just such good workers, and I'd just like to thank you again for the award.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, these are a few companies that have been around, their business has been around a long time, and this proud son says Canton Chinese Food actually began in Stony Creek in 1993, and the son is absolutely correct. I don't remember, and I have to say, they are just at the top of the street where I live. And I don't think there's been one day, and 7 days a week, that I've ever gone in there, and neither one, if always, both parents are there working away very hard. I went on their website today, and I think the son must have had something to do with that, because it is a great website. And so their reviews say the food is awesome, there's excellent service, and they're great value. And I have to contest to that and say it's absolutely true. So anyone who's going through Stony Creek, please take advantage of taking out some Canton Chinese food. It's wonderful, and I certainly am proud to have you in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Councillor Johnson, if you would. And we are in the large business category. category in Ward 11, and the award winner for that category is Queenston on the Mountain.
Just like to thank the city and Councillor Johnson for recognizing Queenston. And I also want to thank Economic Development and Neil Everson. I remember inviting Neil down to the dealerships about 5 years ago to speak to the management team. And he laid out all the growth projections for the East End. And I was somewhat skeptical at the time, given, you know, all the tough times we've gone through, the 90s and the 80s. But now to see all the infrastructure investment in East Hamilton, the recent announcement of light rail, things are very positive. We truly appreciate being recognized and are prepared to invest even more within the community. So thank you very much.
And in the small business category, the Roy Ali Farms Limited.
Before Drew gets down here, I just wanted to point out something. I'm really super excited about this particular award because I believe it's the first time we've honored a farm. I understand that Councillor Pursuit is bringing two staff forward. Drew's the youngest president of the Bimberg Agricultural Society. He's the first recipient of the Rural Youth Excellence Award. And it's been an absolute pleasure to work with him and his family. They'd all be here right now, but I'm assuming that they're all doing the cows. They're milking the cows right now. And that's no, I'm not being smart. They're really working hard. But I also want to point out, this is a family that works on 2,000 acres with crops and cattle. That's dairy and beef, and they have sheep and they have goats. Oh, I was going to say shrimp, but oh, sorry. We're going to do the goats. So they're very active and very involved in the community, so it's been a real pleasure to recognize the farming community this tonight that also contributes $1.2 billion into our industry in the city of Hamilton. So.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight. On behalf of my parents, Randy and Michelle, we appreciate this award. As Brenda mentioned, we've been very involved in the community over the years, and as well I've been involved with Hamilton's Agriculture and Rural Affairs Advisory Committee, and we appreciate all the work that that committee's done and the help that we've got from this council and the city in general. So thank you very much again.
Thank you. And last but not least, Councillor Pizzuto, Ward 14. Oh, sorry. Second last but not least, Councillor Ferguson, Ward 12, Ancaster. Large business category, the TDL Group.
I'm pleased to have nominated TDL to be the winner of this award. TDL could have gone anywhere with their $30 million roasting plant. And while they had to tick all the business boxes, they came back to the place where they had their first store, which was back to Hamilton. And so we're very grateful to have them at the Ancaster Business Park.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you so much for this award. We accept it for several publics, not just ourselves. When we built this plant, I don't know if it was because of Tim Hortons or what, but we ended up with $25 million worth of equipment 6 months early.
And I got a call from the folks in Germany who were building it, and they said, you'll be very happy to know it's on a boat, and it'll be here in about 3 weeks. Well, talked to Neil, and he went through heaven and earth to make our site come up on time, so that when the equipment arrived, we had a place to put it. So this award is shared by all of the people in your team, Neil, who move mountains for us, and we are very grateful. The other public is the folks that work for us. We have incredible people, and the reason that we went to Hamilton was because of the workforce, and they have not let us down. In fact, in April, my buddy here, Lyle, just put in the 3rd shift. So we're up to 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, and we produce 1,100 pots of coffee a minute. So, what I ask of you is keep coming to Tim Hortons, more double-doubles, and thank you for this award.
And in the small business category, Ancaster Jewelry.
Just while JP is making his way down here, it's been a long-standing business, and he's a Rotarian, wearing his pin tonight. But I went on his website today, and the feature story there is that diamonds are the true expression of love. And I thought it was his good looks, but now I understand why all the ladies love JP.
Thank you very much, Council, Mayor Fred. It's a great honor. My parents started this business, so I don't take that credit. I'm born and raised in Hamilton by a couple of Dutch immigrants that started a jewelry store in Ancaster, and I hope to carry on their tradition and maybe my children after me. It's a great honor to be recognized. Thank you very much.
Okay, now it's last but not least, Councilor Pizzuto, Award 14. In the large business category, the Bren B. Farms.
Mr. Mayor, as Sean's coming down, one of the Brens family, Bren B. Farms are leaders in agricultural up there, particularly potato production, and they're getting into other forms of agriculture, cash crop, grains and oil seeds, and producing potato cubes too in their Canadian Food Inspection approved facility, which I can't even get into, but they're doing a great job out there, and it's just an honor for me to have agriculture at our table around here. As Councillor Johnson said, it is a vital part of our city and our community. So.
Mr. Mayor, member of council, just wanted to greatly thank you for the award. Any business these days is not easy, so to get recognized in an arena like this is quite an honor and flattering. So getting up and dealing with issues every day and having a change of pace to come here, and as owners, you appreciate your employees and you do everything, but you don't have someone patting you on the back that often, so I appreciate that. In our little piece of heaven out in the country, which is City Hamilton, it's such a joy to wake up in the morning and do what we do. I'm fourth generation. My brother couldn't be here tonight, but I've got a 5-year-old son that can't wait to get out and work with me every morning. My brother's the same. He's got a little guy that's 3, so we're hoping to get the 5th generation involved soon. So thank you very much.
And in the small business category, Joe Lowick and Sons.
Mr. Mayor, once again, we have David Lowith and Ben, Uncle Dave, Lois Dairy Farm. They're in here as small business, but I didn't realize when we were doing this, Mr. Everson, it was based on employees. The Lois Dairy Farm is a very large dairy farm, largest one in Hamilton, received many, many awards across from Canada-wide. And Dave kind of poked at me before council started tonight that they do have 400 employees, which are the cows they milk. So, very successful farm, very caring for their animals and animal welfare, well respected for their animals, and they're doing a terrific job. And I'm very proud and lucky to have them in my ward.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this award really does mean a great deal to us. My parents came, Ben's grandparents came as refugees from Europe in 1938. Hamilton welcomed us with open arms, and we've maintained our business since 1947, and we've just undergone and I'd like to thank on behalf of my brother Carl, who's like the Spoolsters actually, he's home doing the work tonight too. But it's been a real pleasure to be in this city and watch it grow and watch it develop and be part of it. We don't have that many two-legged employees, but we have over 800 four-legged employees. And we've just undergone a major expansion. We have a lot of faith in agriculture. We have a lot of faith in this area. And the expansion, we'd like to thank Ed Vanderwit in the Planning and Development Department for working us through that, and Robert Pasuto who helped us go through some of those loops and hurdles as well. It's been interesting, it's been challenging, but we have a lot of faith and we appreciate all that Hamilton does, and we thank you very much for this award.
Thank you, one and all, and I think we do want to acknowledge all of the participants and award winners tonight. You know what, from food to parts manufacturing to restaurants to you name it, it is part of our economy, part of our employment. Our economy wouldn't survive for the small, medium, and large businesses that we have operating in our community. So thank you all for your great work. Councilor Rula, you wanted to add?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for a point of clarity, we were all under the impression, at least on this side of the table, that we weren't going to have an opportunity to speak. Councilors did, so I want to take this opportunity to firstly thank Lowe's and Limoncello for their contributions not only to Ward 4, East Hamilton, but the city. But more importantly, I want to acknowledge a couple of things. Firstly, Rocco and Nancy at Limoncello invested a significant amount of money at the time when, as they mentioned, the risk was pretty significant. The vacancy rate on Honor Street at that time when I was first elected was about 50%. The sky was falling and things weren't looking pretty at all. Having said that, since the expressway was developed, a number of all the other announcements today can all be correlated to that expressway. It's actually quite interesting how many of them can be correlated to the success of that. Lowe's, more importantly, I would say, is the #1 example of this. That parcel of land at Barton Woodward was contaminated. Property values were in around $20,000 to $40,000 for homes. It's a stone's throw away on that particular expressway. I can recall speaking to a number of developers that I grew up with and saying, this is an opportunity I think that people are not recognizing. Nob Hill Farms owned it at that time, and it was for sale for about $500,000. That was their parcel of land. I saw it, a number of other people saw it. More importantly, Lowe's saw it, and if I'm not mistaken, that particular Lowe's is the #1 Lowe's in the entire country with respect to volume of sales. So it takes a risk to get the rewards, and I do need to acknowledge that on both fronts, both with Lowe's from an international perspective in Ward 4 East Hamilton, but more importantly, that local investors in Rocco and Nancy and Limoncello, who, despite what people were telling them, they put their money in their mouths now, and they're reaping benefits from it. And I applaud them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
think we can say the same for all people that are starting businesses or have run businesses. They take the risk, they provide the employment, they put their lives and their resources on the line for the greater benefit of our great city. So we thank them for that. Councillor Farr, and then we'll wrap it up.
Should have left it at you. Great final words, near final words, Mr. Mayor. Certainly, I'll be brief, and I echo the sentiments of the Ward 4 councillor. I wasn't under the impression that councillors were going to speak, although all of them did.
Just so you know, it just evolved that way. It wasn't part of the plan. That's okay.
And I think historically that's been the case, so
it's evolving now as well. So
once again, I failed to set a trend by not saying anything. So when I went first, so to Taylor, Lebo, and all of the many, I think it's well over 90. How many employees altogether? 75 employees that not only contribute, obviously, to your success as one of the largest in the region, with a whole suite of services. I can do the old 30-second radio bit for you if you want again, but instead I'll just say there's another element, and that's the vitality that those employees help on a daily basis in adding to our downtown core and feeding our smaller businesses, and probably buying a few suits from you over the years, Emil. And thank you for your ongoing engagement, whether it's with the BIA or talking about the various issues there on John. And we'll continue to always welcome that input, and certainly you've been around long enough to have that capacity to offer that kind of insight that's well-founded over the many years that you've been there serving the community. So thank you to both of you, and Nancy for your shout-out as well, if you're still here. I appreciate it. If it weren't for Rocco Leo, I probably wouldn't have been able to. And I think your first year on Ottawa Street write Canada's worst novel. So much appreciated. It was, I think, Hamilton's first ever live stream event, 48 hours, and we couldn't have done it without you and your wife, Nancy, and it's a great spot you have there. Limoncello, which you came, of course, with the big job. And I had a smaller police line. Thanks to everybody. It's great to do this annually. I also want to recognize Councillor Collins for bringing this initiative forward a few years ago.
Very good. So thank you one and all. You're free to stay if you care to, but you're also free to go if you'd like. So thank you all for being here, and congratulations. There was no hesitation on that part, which is a little disconcerting, but that's okay. We won't take it personal. Yeah, we'll take a couple of minutes to let them make their way.
Hi. Nice to see you. Good to say hello. I took a photo. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Sir, oh, no, I just wanted to say hello. Thank you so much. Yeah. Very nice. Congratulations. Yeah. Just able to know. You just had her through son. You just heard through son. Oh, everybody's good. Very well. And she's good.
Okay, members of council, thank you for your patience and a great opportunity to recognize some great work in our community. Members of council, you have the minutes of May the 27th, 2015 in front of you. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Councillor Partridge, second by Councillor Farr. All in favor? Carried. As well, we have a motion to approve the minutes of the special council meeting held June the 3rd, 2015. Moved by Councillor A. Johnson, seconded by Councillor Pizzuta. All in favor? Carried. We have communications items 5.1 through 5.9. I'll go through them one at a time, and if you will indicate carried, that'll be fine. On 5.1, 5.2, on 5.2. I'm not sure who I heard first, but I'll go with Councillor White.
Thanks, Councillor Whitehead.
That was great.
Whenever Councillor Whitehead is offering something magnanimously, I'm taking advantage of it, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I just want to say that, again, this council, pending the court decision on the community mailboxes, which could be any time now, we are understanding. And whichever way it ends up going, Mr. Mayor, hoping in our favor, if not, up to the judge. I think we have set a standard this past term of council and continuing with this new term of council to say something simply wasn't right when Canada Post didn't take out permits to simply do the proper scoping of wherever these community mailboxes may go, recognizing the city's road allowance. And all we were asking was so that we wouldn't run into situations where there'd be busted sprinklers, that there'd be broken gas lines, simply because the scope of the work through permit approval would have been covered off, let alone cost for any maintenance of winter clearing, graffiti, litter, whatever. This here in front of us, Mr. Mayor, is from the town of Aurora. They have modeled their bylaw and adoption of their bylaw, of a regulatory bylaw, after the city of Hamilton. And I can tell you, Councillor Whitehead has done us an incredible service. He has crisscrossed the country pretty well in different locales, Mr. Mayor, over the last month and a half, representing us, not at his initiation, but from other municipalities that have contacted us. Councillor Whitehead has become, if you will, the unofficial spokesperson in terms of taking the lead with all of our support behind him. And the town of Aurora and others have asked him on behalf of their staff and their councils, exactly sending them copies of our bylaw, exactly how our court case is going. And I'm just so proud to say Aurora is one of many, I understand, across the country, Mr. Mayor, that will be duplicating our regulatory bylaw and keeping their fingers crossed that we'll get a favorable outcome in court over the next few weeks. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm be very proud to move receipt of this, but Councillor Whitehead deserves a lot of credit because I know he helped the town of Aurora and other towns in terms of guiding them in terms of what the city of Hamilton has done. Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor White.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I thank my colleague Councillor Jacks for the generous comments. But really, this is support of this council that has put us where we are. I can tell you that we have become leaders on this issue. Yesterday morning, I was dealing with Thunder Bay that is looking at replicating the same bylaw. Newmark has already given direction for the staff to come back with the same bylaw. And I know that I've been talking to councillors in Toronto and Ottawa, and in fact, we'll be speaking to a group of councillors and citizens tomorrow in London. So there's a great interest in the fundamental issue here, Mr. Chair. I want to thank our lawyers. We were expecting the judge to provide a decision today. Well, being past the business hours, that decision hasn't been forthcoming. So we were expecting anytime soon. I want to thank our legal staff. They had a very daunting task, reported by the Spectator and through the many tweets. And under those circumstances, I think they did an incredible job. And when you take a look at the case study that our legal staff put forward to the judge, there's pretty strong case law in regards to cities being able to regulate their right-of-ways. And lastly, I wanted to make it clear that the issue here is that our bylaw does not conflict with the rights of Canada Post. We're not here to interrupt in their business plan, no more than when we deal with telecommunications companies that are regulated by the federal government, the federal jurisdiction, and they apply for permits. We want business to be successful. The issue here, Mr. Chair, is that we have a bylaw that I believe is actually complementary. It really is about safety. It is about doing it in the right place. Certainly, we have a number of locations. I've identified Mohawk Road, the 4-lane road, where there's super mailboxes. I'm not sure if they're expecting people to pull over in a live lane to load up the super mailboxes or pick up their mail. It's certainly an unsafe situation. Clearly, if you took Canada's Post interpretation of their rights, it would mean that they could remove every urban tree in the city of Hamilton and replace with super mailboxes. They could take a super mailbox and put them right away in the middle of someone's driveway. They have, in fact. So the issue here is who fundamentally is best suited, best prepared, best equipped to make the decisions for the safety of this community. And I believe this council and our staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So moved by Councillor Jackson, second by Councillor Whitehead. All in favor? Carried. On 5-3, all in favor? 5-4. 5-5. On 5-5, Councillor Pasuta.
Thank you, Mayor Eisenberger. And yes, and this one came to me from Rick Bonnet, from Halton Hills, Town Halton Hills, the mayor's office there, the mayor. And I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. It came to me, I sent it to clerks. I'm looking at this. I don't have any individual new quarries coming up that I know of this time. We've only got Lafarge and Dufferin Folsom. We're doing expansion and going to a lower level. But Council Parks, I'm sure going to speak. I'd like to refer this to the General Manager of Planning. And I'm sure Council Parks, she's going to second this. And move it to him for further investigation on this. But as I'm saying, I've only got 2 quarries that are expanding, but I don't know new ones. But we never know what's coming down the road, sir.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Partridge?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And basically the basis of this is to ask the province to consider amending the provincial policy statement in the Aggregate Resources Act. And I did refer, I think 2 council meetings ago, we did refer a similar letter to the GM of Planning. And so I'm pleased to support this motion. I'd like to do the same so that all the correspondence ends up with our GM of Planning.
Very good. So it's moved by Councillor Pasuta, seconded by Councillor Partridge. All in favor? To refer to the General Manager of Planning. Thank you. On 5-6, all in favor? 5-6, Councillor Park.
I just want to thank Lorna, the General Manager of Theatre Grace, for taking the time. I'm happy to receive this, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick thank you to you, sir, and this council for the municipal grant funding in this correspondence. We not too long ago worked hard at enhancing arts funding through our newly developed enrichment fund. And Lorna is recognizing this in this correspondence, and I think we shared together in our argument to make that additional monetary support that it wasn't a handout, it was an investment. And for this to come to us from Lorna, who has worked very hard as GM in our one and only regional theater, it is a regional attraction, to create wonderful theater throughout their season, but also prove that argument, the main argument, that it is an investment when we enhance arts, is evident in their ongoing contribution. It's not just about going to the theater and getting out of town. It's a well-known documented fact that she fought for the enhancement she did receive in her application, along with so many others, as the good work of the Grants Committee has now concluded at least that first phase. $12 million to the core and the restaurants and the other contributions they make to us economically save for the theater itself and the experience of watching wonderful theater. So this one arts institution alone shows statistically that their annual investment, that our investment parlays to annually $12 million plus in economic spin-off. So I really appreciate that Lorna took the time. She didn't have to, but I'm happy to receive this.
Thank you. So moved by yourself, seconded by Aidan Johnson. All in favor? Carried. On 5-7, all in favor? 5-8. 5-9. 5-10. Item 5-11. Hang on which one? Yeah, well, so we're assuming that that's part of the recommendation that's coming forward. Councillor Partridge, on which item?
On 5-11 and 12, please, when you're ready.
On 5-11, we're on it.
Okay, yes, so I'd like to have both 5-11 and 5-12 referred to the General Manager of Planning, I believe it is, although I did think it was Public Works, but it's my understanding through clerks that it is to be planning and to deal with them as is appropriate. Thank you.
So I have on 5-11 and 5-12 that very recommendation that they both be referred. So on 5-11 then, all in favor? Carried. And 5-12? Carried. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Jackson, we have a motion on the communications.
Mr. Mayor, moved by myself and seconded by Ward 7 Councillor Scott DeBell, that Council Communications 5.1 through to 5.12 inclusive be approved as following.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Green, may I have a motion to move into committee of the whole for consideration of the committee reports. The Honourable Councillor Tom Jackson in the chair.
Excellent, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that opportunity. Moved by myself, seconded by my good councillor colleague Sam Marula, that council move into committee of the whole for consideration of the committee reports.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor Eisenberger. Members of council, we have before us this evening, starting with the Public Works Committee report 15-008, respectfully recommending item 1. Carried. Item 2. Carried. Item 3. Carried. Item 4. Carried. Item 5. Carried. Mr. Mayor, if you would take the chair on item 5, please. This is the proposed residential municipal disaster relief assistance program for frozen water services. Mr. Mayor, I am really proud of the Public Works Committee last week that recommended unanimously what you have here in front of us. Many of you know that this past winter was not only a horrendous winter in terms of the number of freezing days below 0 Fahrenheit. I think we had a record number of 35 in a row through the month of February in the weather, in the history of the weather annals and keeping that type of statistic. But it caused over 1,200 frozen water line services across our city. The previous winter had about 600, to put it in perspective, so almost double. And the previous winter before that, to really put it in context, only had about 50 across our whole city in terms of frozen water lines and pipes. So, Mr. Mayor, of course, a number of us advocated that where the frozen water line was proven to be, beyond a shadow of a doubt, on the city side of the property line, that for those homeowners that had already spent the money to hire a plumber and then was found by the plumbers thawing equipment, that the frozen part emanated from the public side. I thought it was just unfair that that homeowner was not only waiting days, and sometimes 2 weeks or more in some cases, to finally get running water, a basic necessity of life, but also had been out X amount of dollars when finding out that the problem wasn't on the private side of their property. So what we have here before us tonight, I want to thank, under General Manager Jerry Davis, I want to particularly thank Senior Director of Hamilton Water, Dan McKinnon, his Manager of Water Distribution, Nick Winters, and his new Director of Hamilton Water Works Underground, Andrew Price, especially Nick Winters, Mr. Mayor. He put up with a gazillion number of calls from me, often on the weekends. He was always available. My ward, unfortunately, on the East Mountain, we had the dubious distinction of having about 250 of the over 1,200 frozen water line services. A lot of it because of the shale and the closeness of the lines with the mountain and with the rock beds. And some things we've learned here, Mr. Mayor, before I get to the final recommendation here. We're working on a policy moving forward that's coming back to Public Works that may talk about the city being a first responder, Mr. Mayor, in the future, where the city may come out where there's a frozen water line complaint next winter, and the city would come out first. If it's on the public side, immediately thaw the pipe, get it running water for the homeowner. Or if it ends up being on the private side, maybe for a waiver, for a price that the homeowner would agree to, while our equipment's there, we could thaw the pipe on the private side as well. So various options will be coming forward. I know, and I really compliment Hamilton Water at the presentation a week ago, that instead of just digging their heels in terms of blaming it all on Mother Nature and the horrendous freezing winter we had, the extended freezing winter we had in our city, and not just our city alone, Mr. Mayor, but give Hamilton Water credit. They admitted that in the early days of February, there were a few complaints coming forward, but then an avalanche of complaints started to come forward. They admitted that, we didn't anticipate this number of complaints. They didn't have an email address set up, a general email address set up for homeowners and or the councillor and the mayor's offices that we could file the addresses to. And they had to reallocate resources as soon as possible, Mr. Mayor, as quickly as they could, and get other contractors on the roster. Initially, I think we only had 2. I think we beefed it up to 5 or 6 eventually to get through the waiting list and help provide and eventually get running water. And also Hamilton Water did quickly, and I must give them credit for this, they immediately provided potable water and delivery of potable water as soon as possible to homeowners, young families, seniors who didn't have running water and frozen pipes. So what we have before us here tonight, Mr. Mayor, which I'm just so proud of, is the recommendation from the Public Works Committee unanimously, based on the staff report, that if it's proven on the city side, for anybody listening by way of Cable 14 or live stream, for any of my constituents or those across the city, if it was proven to be on the city side, we will pay 100% of the cost, up to $1,000 maximum, and whether the homeowner has insurance or not, Mr. Mayor, that will not disqualify them from being eligible for this program. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm just so very, very proud. This is, at the end of the day, the type of service that our residents, our ratepayers and taxpayers expect from their local government when hardship and or crisis comes upon our community. Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Now I have two additional speakers for you as I turn the chair back, Councillor Whitehead and Councillor Pearson.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Whitehead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope I can ask the questions of staff.
Yes.
The in this compassionate grant, it says exceed 1,000. So I take it that it's up to $1,000, but it doesn't mean that everyone's getting $1,000. Is that correct? That meets the other criteria.
General Manager Davis or General Manager Security for Finance?
Through the chair, the councillor, that's correct. It's up to $1,000.
And Mr. Chair, the reason I want to identify that is that there's very few cases that are going to exceed $500, but there are extraordinary cases that will. So when we look at the 1,000, it's they still have to meet the criteria, and they would be extraordinary circumstances. I know that most of the ones that I've dealt with were on Stone Church and West Fifth. These roads were just rebuilt, and there certainly were not issues at the homeowner's water line. It was at the city main trunk. So on both occasions. There's some arguments that maybe on West Fifth that the water lines are too high, and that's something I know staff endeavor to take a look at. So no fault of the homeowner, they find themselves in a situation, they're taking money out of their pocket to hire plumbers just to determine that the problem's on the city side. So clearly, I think we have a moral responsibility through compassion to address those people, no fault of their own, and I know that freezing weather is an act of a God type of event, but having said that, if there are deficiencies within our systems that aggravate that situation, we shouldn't be holding the homeowner to ransom. So for those reasons, and understanding that most of the cases will probably fall closer to the $500 line if they meet the criteria, there's going to be very few exceptional cases that would arise above that. So I wholeheartedly support the need for this, and I appreciate the homeowners that have not only gone through it this year, Mr. Chair. I've got many homeowners that went through the exact same thing last year as well, which clearly tells me that it's more than just the freezing weather. There's other issues that need to be addressed. I know the city are looking at those clusters to ensure they address those issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whitehead. Councillor Maria Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and certainly I echo your words and commend staff. I know the day that I sat in at the Public Works presentation, and I knew Bryce did give an excellent presentation overview of actually all of the what went on and the numbers, etc., that you stated quite elaborately, Mr. Deputy Mayor. But certainly I wish to extend kudos again to staff. We have to say, you know, when I was out there, I think I left the Board of Health meeting that February the 19th, when there was a water issue that my mother was dealing with, and coming upon a water main break in her neighborhood. And this was a water main break that was right up against a residential home. And I'll tell you, through Jerry Davis' assistant, Nancy Clark, and I'm going to say it again, this crew were there within minutes. And if anybody was out there on that day and having to deal with that cold and watching these fine workers digging a hole in that absolutely horrendous cold weather and trying to deal with shutting the water off so that this home wouldn't have been totally flooded, I actually commend them. What they had to go through, and you know, it's amazing that a number of residents who watched this as well have also extended and said to me, you know what, our crews have done a great job. So I wrote down here that, you know, when the going gets tough, the tough get going in Hamilton, and they've certainly surpassed expectations. We can't please everyone, but we're doing a tremendous job to get there. So again, excellent. I think this is a great opportunity to also mention, Mr. Deputy Mayor, you mentioned about the water that was being delivered. We had 1,863 homes that water was delivered to, all of those jugs were actually filled by our staff. So that just shows the line of participation that went on, that we actually don't know. Everybody was involved behind the scenes. So again, congratulations and kudos to all of them. They should all know that what they did mattered. Lastly, though, I think it would be great to make sure that we mention out there that, you know, Hamilton did procure the assistance of the service line warranty program. And this would be a great opportunity to residents to review that opportunity if they've got those applications still at their home. If they don't, to go online or call the city, 546-2489, and get that information. That service line warranty covers 3 areas of service, one being your sanitary sewer, the other being the water line, and the other being indoor plumbing. There's 3 different policies, there's 3 different rates. You don't have to take it all, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I think it's a perfect opportunity to throw that information out there. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Councillor Pearson. Councillor Scott DeBell, please.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and I fully support the motion, and I want to thank staff and the frontline workers for all the work they went through during that little cold spell. But this is merely an assistance program to help the residents that were told to go hire a plumber before the city would come out and give them any service. So the services, the water that goes to the home, they were being told that it's usually, the majority of the time, it's usually on the homeowner side, just from past experience. But out of the 1,300 calls, I believe, the 1,250 calls, I think we found out that over 600 of these were actually on the city side. So for those 600, the ones that are putting claims in, that had no fault of their own and were proved that it was on the city portion, for them, the city, to come out and provide the service, we're stuck with a bill, and all we're doing is reimbursing for that bill, for that information. So thank you very much, and I fully support it.
Thank you, Councillor DeBell. No further speakers on item 5. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. The fine Chairman of Public Works, Councillor Marula, do you have a motion for us, please, for your report?
I do indeed, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and it's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Matt Green that the 8th report of the Public Works Committee be adopted as presented and the information section received.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. General Issues Committee presents Report 15-012. Respectfully recommends Item 1, carried. Item 2, carried. Item 3, carried. Item 4, carried. Item 4. Councillor Robert Pasuta, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Jackson, and this is an encouraging outcome here. For the agreements of the Hamilton 150 School Board and the creation of 2 community hubs, one being at the Beverly Community Center site and the other one at the Greensville School on Harvest Road. I'm seeing with the new board, with the Hamilton 150 School Board, I see a change of direction here. I see a willingness to cooperate all around with everybody. I'm hoping some of this will help heal the old wounds that are up there. I know Chairman Todd White came in and spoke at this committee meeting around issues, and Ward 13-14 trustee Greg Van Giffen came in and spoke very well and spoke from their heart. And it was good to have them come out. I asked them to come. They weren't sure how they would be received, but I think we received them well. And they did call me back after and said it was good that they came and left with a good feeling of cooperation. Back in I've got a date here, February the 20th, Education Mr. Liz Sandals came with the Beverly School site along with our MPP Teddy Weekend and made an announcement for $10 million for 2 new schools in Ward 14, $7.5 million going to the Beverly Community Center site for a new school, and $2.5 million for Greensville, since the Spencer Valley. But we're trying to, and they are turning this around to have a new school, a brand new school at the Greensville School site in Harvest Road. And we're working through that. There is some issues, not major ones, we'll get through them all. But I can't forget to comment on former trustee Karen Turkster. She was the school board trustee for wards 14 and 15. She worked her heart out on this to get agreements forward and bring motions forward. Worked with the ARC process, with Council Parks involved in that because of the no-growth school. And this lady is terrific. She built relationships within the the board and within the city staff. I can tell you, Mr. Deputy Mayor Jackson, that staff, city staff, have been working really well with the school board and myself. The library board is supportive of putting a new library at the Greensville school site. They've worked well. We're all working together. It just seems to be cog here working, all the cogs working together. It's very encouraging, and it's not about us, it's not about politicians, it's not about school board trustees, but the future of our education and our children. I'm just very proud to have this come forth. Hopefully tonight, once again, we'll get unanimous support. Mr. Mayor, I think this is terrific. I'm looking forward to seeing two new schools built for 2017. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Pasuta. Kudos to you and Councillor Partridge for your work on this file. Councillor Vanderbeek, please.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'm just going to take this opportunity to point out that there's an editing problem with this particular report. The date of the report is June 3rd, but at the top of the page it says May 20th. So if you go to each of the additional pages, they refer to May 20th. Is that a typo?
Will the clerks take that under advisement, please? Okay.
Just needs to be adjusted.
Thank you for alerting us to that, Councillor Vanderbeek. Much appreciated. No more speakers then on item 4. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 5. Councillor Whitehead on the information section before I get to Mayor Eisenberger for a motion on the report.
During the discussion on the 150th anniversary list that was supported and endorsed by this council, we had a presentation in respect to Ockmore. So I just want to take this opportunity because in the section you have Mr. McKee and John Kajaski, Friends of Ockmore, made a presentation. And I want to announce, and I've already talked to Anna Bradford, that because of the concurrent process, I am going to be hosting a meeting for those that have a desire to keep Ockmore within the public realm. A round table, and to sit at that round table, you must, you've got to leave your agendas at home. It really is about keeping the domain and finding a plan that is viable and sustainable for this community. So I will be starting those discussions in conjunction with our staff, and hopefully we'll put the best foot forward to keep this in the public domain.
Thank you, Councillor Whitehead. Mayor Eisenberger on the report then, please.
Sir, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Duval, that the 12th report of the General Issues Committee be adopted and the information section received.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Members of Council, the Audit, Finance, Administration Committee presents report 15-006 and respectfully recommends item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5, item 6, item 7, item 8. Mr. Mayor, if you just take the chair on item 9. Sir, I'll Councillor Brenda Johnson, would you like to speak first to it? Okay, Mr. Mayor, I just want to, this is regarding the development charge deferral for 122 Country Recycling Inc. at 900 Nebo Road. And I just want to sincerely thank members of council and Chairman Pearson and the AF&A committee for keeping an open mind, and what ultimately led to Councillor Brenda Johnson's motion, which, if you recall, members of council, the family that runs this business, long-time family with investment in our community and a number of different businesses, simply wanted to bring some information forward to committee that they didn't get an opportunity to at the appropriate time for whatever reason. And because this council kept an open mind and said, let's give our the citizens and the owners of this business an opportunity to present maybe some new information, share their stories, some proposals, in compromise proposals from their standpoint, Mr. Mayor. What we have before us, I believe, was unanimously recommended by the AF&A committee, which I attended, has in here what I think is a reasonable plan, keeps the 50 employees employed, keeps them up to date with their taxes, and provides a plan, I think, that will give them sustainability down the road. Again, thanking Councillor Brenda Johnson as well, who ultimately put this proposal and this resolution forward. I'll be happy to strongly support it at the appropriate time. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Johnson, and yours back.
Councillor Brenda Johnson.
Yep, thank you very much, and thank you. You've probably said most of my notes here, so I too want to thank everyone.
this motion actually changed somewhat a little bit from what the AFNA, because thanks to Mike Segarek, he took it, he wordsmithed it, so that it's in its more proper form. So we've been in conversation with the ordinance and Mike Segarek until last night. So thank you, Mike, for working overtime to get this put together, and thanks to my colleagues for their support.
Thank you, Councillor Brenda Johnson. No further speakers on item 9. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 10. Item 10. Councillor Ferguson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to be recorded as opposed to this one. The landlord of the Mountain Plaza is Callaway, and unlike the previous one, number 9, they're a very resourceful company, have a lot of resources, and the part that bothers me the most, this is the same company, Callaway, that deferred for 2 years the Trinity development in Lancaster, which deprived the city of $1.6 million in new annual taxes that would come out of that development. And they did that not for good planning reasons, but for competitive reasons, or store wars, as it's often referred to. So, here we are going to give them a break for about the same amount of money that we got deprived of in new tax revenue, and prohibited the people of Ancaster from getting a new Lowe's, just like we saw tonight in Ward 4, which we're looking forward to in Ancaster, out of the west of the village, and along those. So it was all ready to go and delayed for just over 2 years for competitive reasons. So I want to be recorded as opposed.
Okay, so noted, clerks. Councillor Ferguson recorded as opposed. Councillor Matt Green, please. Was there anybody else? Okay, Councillor Matt Green. Okay, Councillor Matt Green.
Not for those reasons, but for reasons of my own, I'm also opposed to this.
Okay. Okay. So, is a formal standing recorded vote? No. Okay, so fine. No other speakers on 10. All in favor? I'm sorry, Councillor DeBell.
I'd just like to thank staff for bringing this forward. This has been opened, transparent over the period of time. Nothing's been hidden on this. It was dealt with, staff recommended it, and I fully support it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor DeVal. No, hang on, folks, hang on. Keep your tinkling to yourself for a moment. Councillor Whitehead, please.
Mr. Chair, I can tell you that between Councillor DeVal and myself, what we had there was a tired building, a tired strip plaza. The life that this organization has brought to the mountain, that location, is incredible. The activity, whether it's the Walmart or all the other stores in that particular plaza, they did an incredible job in ensuring that they met the needs of the neighborhood and the community. They were easy to work with, and they're generating hundreds of jobs in that plaza, and they're generating all kinds of dollars. So, and this is a general practice that we've had for years. There's nothing different about this. So, for those reasons, I support it.
Thank you, Councillor Whitehead. Chair of the committee, Councillor Pearson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and I appreciate the previous comments from Councillor Whitehead. And I was going to extend the same information, especially for the viewing public. This is just extending the period of the credit that they're entitled to, and this is the credit with regards to the demolition of their property and rebuilding. So this is not uncommon. We've done it before, and it was asked of committee. It's not setting precedent, and I certainly concur with the former speaker that a lot has been done on that site, and there's been a major improvement in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pearson. No other? Councillor Ferguson for a second time, please.
Yes, I'd just like to point out that this had to be redeveloped for profitable reasons. It was a tired site, you're right. It needed to be refurbished just like the old Center Mall. But all I'm suggesting is they should do what they said they were going to do. It is a deferral, but they're not paying the development charges that they agreed to when we give them approval to build that plaza.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. All in favor of item 10? Well, hold it. I'm chairing the meeting, Councillor Ferguson. So, is there a standing recorded vote wanted, or did I just see a few hands that want to be recorded as opposed? All in favor? Any opposed that want to be recorded as opposed? Councillor Green, Councillor Brenda Johnson, Councillor Lloyd Ferguson, Councillor Judy Partridge. That carries. Thank you very much. Item 11. Item 12. Item 13. Item 14. Item 14, Councillor Whitehead, please.
Mr. I sort of support the intent of what we're trying to accomplish here, but I need to ask through legal, Just for clarification purpose, I know two cases, slightly different. Both cases, one was forensic engineering, and it's a precedent setting. It's based on competition clauses that you can't compete within the same jurisdiction for so many years, etc. If you come from a certain company, those can all be thrown out, said unconstitutional because people have a right to earn a living. So I guess the question I have to you, Madam Chair, is going in this direction, are we going to get into constitutional challenges or issues?
Janice, please.
So through the Deputy Mayor, this was thoroughly reviewed by at least a couple of our lawyers, myself included. We believe that this will be supportable under the appropriate circumstances. This is not overly broad, as many of those non-compete clauses have been found to be. This is tailored, this is time limited, this is specific, and this pertains to a certain level of staff and above. So our view of it is it can be upheld under the appropriate circumstances, and it certainly is not groundbreaking in terms of the levels of government imposing this kind of an appropriate term and condition.
I appreciate that clarification. I was just concerned because I know of two cases where they were both thrown out of the courts as unconstitutional because you can't prevent the person from making an income. You're indicating that that principle doesn't apply here.
Janice?
Again, through the Deputy Mayor, those cases are, I believe, fact specific. Certainly the cases that I have looked at are fact specific, where there's a very broad attempt to impose a non-compete clause under circumstances where it may be a small community, there may only be one or two large businesses of that nature. Certainly the courts will find it's overly broad and will not uphold it. This has been reviewed very carefully by legal services in terms of the wording, and we believe it can be upheld under the appropriate circumstances.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I just want to be clear. I'm very supportive of the principles that we're espousing for this clause. I just want to make sure that we're aware of those and try to understand and get some clarity on the competition clauses as it pertains to the cases that I identified. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whitehead. Item 14. Chairperson, Councillor Pearson, may I have a motion to approve your report and adopt the information section, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Aidan Johnson, that the sixth report of the Audit, Finance and Administration Committee be adopted as presented in the information section received.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Mayor, would you please resume the chair?
Thank you for asking. Appreciate it. So, while you're sitting down, Councillor Jackson, may I have a motion to have the Committee of the Whole rise and report?
Mr. Mayor, I do. Moved by myself and seconded by Ward 7 Councillor Scott Tebell that the Committee of the Whole rise and report.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. On motions, we have motion item 7.1. Councillor Marula, are you prepared to put your motion?
I am indeed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Collins. Whereas the public electricity system in Ontario is a critical asset to the economy, whereas the public electricity system generates significant revenue for municipal and provincial governments, it gives Ontario a competitive advantage. Whereas local control and decision-making is important to meet the needs of our communities and residents, whereas local electricity distribution companies provide a source of stable and predictable revenue to our communities. Whereas some Ontario municipalities have examined possible sales or mergers of their distribution companies and have decided not to sell to Hydro One or the private sector, and whereas the privatization, partial or whole, of electricity has led to higher rates and less control, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Hamilton call on the provincial government to stop the sale of any part of Hydro One and maintain Hydro One as a wholly owned public asset to the benefit of all Ontarians. Strengthen Hydro One by investing in the next generation of workers and upgrading aging infrastructure, and respect the autonomy and local decision-making powers of local distribution companies by not forcing these companies into mergers or sales. That the City of Hamilton circulate this resolution for support to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and the Electricity Distributors Association. Mr. Mayor, what we have before us, really Ontario is unprecedented. And over the years, as you know, over the last quarter of a century, Hamilton at one time was seen as a very progressive, I would say progressive, depending on what you're looking at, from what perspective, when it comes to private-public partnerships. But I think one thing that we learned over the years, particularly in Hamilton and our water treatment system, where we were one of the first Canadian municipalities to privatize, is that it really was an experiment gone awry. There are certain government services that are just untouchable. And we know what those untouchable services are. They are police, fire, ambulance, water, electricity, those essential services that basically should never be in the realm of for-profit targets and endeavors. They should be in the realm of just simply providing what we define as essential. So when the province or when any public entity, as they did in California, goes down this particular road of privatization, and there's a lot of bells, whistles, and mirrors that are being thrown in people's faces as a result of incentive, they really have to ask themselves if it's worth as much as they are saying today. How much is it going to be worth 25, 50, 100 years from now? And as we all regret in the province of Ontario, you don't have to look too far. Look at the 407 as a prime example of leadership gone awry in the name of privatization, where we are now beholden to an international entity, a foreign entity, with the 405, double building, significant costs, and we're now handcuffed and beholden to them. We know that's a mistake. So if people can separate what should be privatized versus what shouldn't be privatized, then we can really create parameters towards protecting not only the local residents, and particularly the suburban area, because we all know how well Horizons performs. And actually, I know that my suburban colleagues, or our suburban colleagues, envy the fact that we have Horizons and they have Hydro One. And frankly, from my perspective, I think Horizon should absorb Hydro One, bring it into the fold, we can remain the majority shareholder and control our own destiny. Why on God's earth would we be giving a blank check to the future and to a private entity of any kind because they're throwing a few bells and whistles at us and we're seeing our reflection? I just don't understand the short-sightedness of this entire process. I do understand that the numbers are huge, but if those numbers are huge today, they're going to be even bigger in the future, and we're not going to benefit from it. So we are selling our future short, and I'm not prepared to support anything along those lines. What I am prepared to do is to clearly stand by this motion, as the city of Toronto has clearly stated. In California, they thought the privatization of hydro or electricity was the greatest thing until the lights turned off, and then they realized that perhaps it wasn't. So we have an opportunity to not get blinded by the bells and whistles and mirrors and shiny objects, and simply state clearly that we have certain principles, and those principles are aligned with certain essential services. And the hydro, I can't think outside of the water. I can't think of another essential service that is more vital to the sustainability of this city, of this province, of this country, not only today, but in the future. And that needs to remain in control of the public and not the private sector, particularly when we're dealing with international entities. And I understand that the province is suggesting that they're only giving up 40%. But that's the initial public offering. Once that occurs, and we all know what happens, there's a lot of gamemanship. When we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars at stake, there's going to be a lot of games being played behind closed doors. And even more reason why these discussions need to be dealt with in open doors, and that being a public entity. Because I'll tell you, the initial public offering will lead to future public offerings, which will gradually eat away at that 60% and gradually shift that balance of control over the private sector. I guarantee you, because when you're dealing with that magnitude of money, you're dealing with greed. When you're dealing with private sector greed and that magnitude of money, you're dealing with a great deal of power as well. And that power must remain within the public sector. The moment we sign off on this is the moment we sign off on giving away and selling the future away of this essential service, which will be the most epic mistake this province could ever make. And we as a city need to be very firm in our position that it's not for sale. And the private sector is not welcome when it comes to essential services. And for that, I stand by this motion, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Council first. We have, just so you know, Councilors Ferguson, Partridge, Jackson, Duval, and myself. My apologies, I'll fit you in. Thank you. Council Ferguson.
Thank you. I did hear Councillor Johnson tap his grasp at the same time I did. So, but when I read this motion, it looks like an NDP resolution, and which signals to me this is a very political motion. And also, when I'm reading it, it assumes that the current ownership is satisfactory. Their service is not good. About half of Ancaster is serviced by Hydro One, and the other half is serviced by Verizon. And 95% of the time when I get phone calls about long outages, first question I ask them is, who's your supplier, Verizon or Hydro One? 95% of the time, it's Hydro One. We've all read the paper about the ridiculous wages that are being paid by Hydro One. CEOs well over $1 million. And I can tell you, as a customer of Hydro One, the rate that they're charging me has gone up exponentially in the last 3 or 4 years. I look at my hydro bill now, what it was 5 years ago, it's almost double. So stop assuming that they're providing good value to the consumer. Stop assuming that they're good operators and lean operators. You know, their trucks are the envy of the trucks on the road. They're always brand new, and they're spending way too much time in Tim Hortons. So I'm not sure that private oversight wouldn't make that place run better. Also, you know, the province just very generously provided $1 billion to us for a new LRT system. And the Premier and other members of Cabinet have been very clear that they need to sell some assets in order to generate the capital to do that. They need to get our $1 billion and other areas of the province with more money by selling these assets. The province, 2 weeks ago, and we're all very proud of that, provided us a grand total announcement of just under $1.2 billion. And then 2 weeks later, we're going to turn around and kick them in the gut for challenging something that they have to do. I tell you, if I was them, I would do whatever I could to make sure that $1.2 billion doesn't flow if they're going to play that kind of game with us. I don't have enough information. I don't know whether it's a good deal or bad deal. Most important, we don't have any jurisdiction in this. This is a provincial jurisdiction. We have Verizon, we're a majority shareholder, and we do get some good dividends. And on that, on the Verizon side, it's suggested in the whereas, item 4, that we could see a source of stable and predictable revenues to come down in our communities. I sent an email to the president of Verizon and asked him that very question. Can you advise me if Verizon will be impacted by the Hydro One sale. Here's his answer. Horizon will not be impacted in any way by the sale of Hydro One. The only difference will be that Hydro One will have new owners. In many ways, this may be a blessing, since a business board may be more rational to work on issues such as divestment of the other Hamilton area customers served by Hydro One and should be served, as the mover of the motion said, by Horizon. So that's just fear mongering, suggesting that there's going to be changes in the revenue and the service we get from Horizon. There's the president of Horizon saying it may in fact be the other way, but it certainly won't impact them. So if we don't have jurisdiction on this, and the province just give us $1.2 billion, I'm just not on to make them angry and possibly face the wrath, particularly when I don't have the information other than a political motion in front of me with no issues around the business case. So, Mr. Mayor, I can't support it.
Okay, thank you. So an adjustment, Councillor Johnson, you're up next, and then Councillors Partridge, Jackson, Wall, Whitehead, and myself. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you very much, Mayor Fred. Rabbi Salzberg in the blessing at the start of our meeting reminded us of the deep importance of knowing and respecting and being able to make the arguments of your opponents. And this is an issue where not only could I make Councillor Marula's argument and the argument against the privatization, I have some sympathy for some aspects of it. Is there an outstanding concern? And by the way, I'm working up to, I'm opposing Councillor Marula. Is it the case that there's a risk that hydro rates could go up and that families could be impacted by the privatization? Yeah, there is a chance. And that's a bad thing. Very few things that are worth doing, however, come without risks. And in this case, when I listen to the economists and the business analysts who have advised Premier Wynne, turn around and advise the public and say that in their professional opinion, we don't have to fear too much about increases, never mind deeply scary rate increases. The truth is that I trust them. Another truth is that I trust our progressive Premier of Ontario, who has demonstrated a very shrewd fiscal mind and a very well-developed business sensibility in pursuing the very hard decision-making process around the privatization of hydro. In Premier Wynne's public discussions of this matter, she's been very frank about the fact that it's been a hard decision-making process for her, because she too recognizes that there are arguments on both sides and that some of the arguments opposing privatization have merit to them. Her fundamental argument about the privatization is that there will not be significant, or indeed probably any, real impacts on rates for families. And the economic analysis of that question satisfies her. She goes on to posit, and Councillor Ferguson made the same argument, that we simply need the money. I am a believer in LRT on environmental grounds, on city building grounds, on pro-family and poverty-fighting grounds for the city. We, Ontario, we, Hamilton, need money to pay the $1 billion tab that's coming for our LRT. If opponents of privatization have another place in the budget where they know that we can find $1 billion, I would very much like to hear it. The truth is, I believe very strongly that we need to privatize hydro in order to find the money to pay for transit improvements, not just in Hamilton, but all throughout the province. It's also, on a factual basis, worth putting on the record, observing that it is not a complete privatization of hydro, it's a 60% privatization. And furthermore, very careful regulations are going to apply to the private entity that runs hydro post-privatization, including a special ombudsman appointed by the province with steep legal powers to make sure that families are protected, the environment is protected, and that the economy is protected according to rules that are clearly set out on a contractual basis at the beginning of the privatization. So on all those bases, I think that frankly, the environmentally responsible thing and the economically responsible thing is to support the Ontario government with privatization. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Partridge.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to thank Councillor Marula actually for bringing this motion forward. And, you know, I respect everyone's opinion around this table and thank Councillor Johnson for his good comments that he just made. But I think because we simply need the money is just not a good enough argument to have me support it. You know, the majority of my ward has Hydro One customers. And I will tell you, many of them have lost thousands of dollars in property damage because of power surges. And they are absolutely being treated unconscionably. They're being told to follow a process. They've done that. They've been told they're going to hear back on, in some cases, $40,000 worth of damage. And they're told we weren't responsible. There's many different reasons that they've been given, but the bottom line is they're out of pocket significantly. And I'm not talking just 5 or 6 or 10 households. Like, I'm talking between 40 and 60 households. Not always in the same area, but there are pockets. And, you know, so I wish there was some way that we could bring all of the Hydro One customers in our rural areas, myself included, into the Horizon family. But I believe that we would be making a serious mistake if we let anything happen to Horizon that would water down the control that we have, the money that we receive, because Horizon would be reduced, if I understand it correctly, to like 10%. And the rest of the ownership is all going to be very fractured. Right. And I think it is a serious mistake for us to, a slippery slope actually, to even go down that road. And it's happened in the past with previous provincial governments that have sold off assets that were taxpayer assets, and they were not a good deal for us. And of course, when do you find that out? 10, 20 years down the road, when it is too late to go back. So, the only other friendly amendment I would like to offer is at the very bottom under B, we're saying circulate to the municipalities AMO and the Electricity Distribution Associations. I'd also like to add in there the large mayors caucus, if that be added into the list. Lumco, okay? You're okay with that? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Appreciate Councillor Marula beginning this discussion and debate, which of course is extremely timely. For me, I'm just in a waiting game. The Hamilton Utilities Corporation, our Horizons company, our President and CEO, Max Cananzi, as you know, are exploring with this council's support, simply exploring the opportunities of future and possible mergers. We know that it was very successful with St. Catharines years ago. We tried with Guelph, last minute political decision, unsuccessful. And as long as there are opportunities to lower rates to my constituents and also maintain some checks and balances under the Ontario Energy Board, I'm open-minded. So I just find the motion tonight, although important to begin the conversation, I just find it a bit premature, especially the 8-part Roman numeral 3 that says respecting the autonomy, local decision-making powers of local distribution companies by not forcing these companies into mergers or sales. I have reserved the right, I've made it clear publicly in comments in the daily newspaper, and I've made it clear to Max Cananzi recently at the Economic Summit when I saw him, that hypothetically, if there's an opportunity under a future merger where the Horizons brand can stand strong because it's a great brand and has served our community well, if we can maintain headquarters here in Hamilton, 51% of ownership, Mr. Mayor, I am open-minded to maintaining a possibility of supporting that kind of plan coming back forward, that business plan coming back forward that ultimately could benefit the city of Hamilton and my residents and my ratepayers. Mr. Mayor, as well, I find this premature because I've heard from some of the suburban colleagues who have to deal with Hydro One, who have regularly told me that the availability of Hydro One, having to call the 188 number on a regular basis, they can't get access during the ice storm of 2013. So many of my suburban colleagues I've chatted with, as we all went through that vicious ice storm and the damage across the city, many of the suburban colleagues told me, unlike Horizons, they couldn't even themselves as local members of council get through to at least get information, updated information as to when Hydro One would be providing service and restoration of power to their constituents. So the other reason why I'm saying this is premature, Mr. Mayor, is because I'd love to see the opportunity with Hydro One in the outlying areas coming under the Horizons umbrella, completely unified, one utility covering all 500,000 plus citizens, residents in the city of Hamilton. So for all of those reasons of prematurity at this time, Mr. Mayor, I won't support this motion. But again, I'm not saying yes to the merger, but I'm reserving the right to keep an open mind to see what Mr. Cananzi brings back to council. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Just to be clear, though, so we're not talking about the merger opportunities in this particular recommendation today, just to be sure. Well, and I understand Councilor Marula is going to be dealing with that in a minute.
I was going to say my apologies, Mr. Mayor, because I did speak to Clerk Saying yourself,
right,
as well as the Deputy Mayor, and I neglected to defer item 3 that Councilor Jackson referred to our July meeting with Horizon subsequent to their presentation. So that was my error, because I had to do that, but I needed the script accordingly.
So as I understood it, you were going to delete item 3 altogether because it's already inherent in the previous motion that you put forward.
It's going towards the future debate in July. That's
right. Okay. So
that's my apologies.
I'll come back to you to make that amendment when we've gone through our first time speakers. Councillor Duval. So again, we're not really talking about Horizon and Horizon mergers. We're talking about Hydro One and the provincial initiative to privatize a portion of Hydro One. Councillor Duval.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and I want to thank Councillor Marula for bringing this forward because I fully support it. We have to keep the hydro in public hands. We start selling our assets to privatization, I'm telling you, the rates will go sky high. Just look at, and I call this Hydro 407, because that's exactly what it's going to be. We built it, it was our public in there for our public asset, we sold it, we were told that the rates would be, the tolls would be almost the same, there'd be little changes and the government would have control on it. Look what happened. They took us to court and they won, and they can put the tolls whatever they want. So I'm kind of disappointed. Some people would say that they give us a $1.2 billion, so they're not going to support this motion. I didn't know that the $1.2 billion came here on the pretense that, geez, we have to sell our hydro, our assets off. That's all news to me. Maybe the Liberals had that figured out, but I know I didn't. But this is very, very important. Our people now, our residents, are facing hydro bills, our seniors, that are very, very expensive. And that's because we went to a new way of producing hydro, and it's very, very expensive for that. We put it into private hands. These people are there to make profit for their shareholders. And they're going to raise the prices. They get with the maximum profits they can out of it. So I think it's very, very important that it stays in the public hands, and I fully support it. And I think that the Liberal government at this particular time, the province is making a terrible, terrible mistake because they went and blew all their money away, billions of dollars, and looking for some way to get that money back. Okay, and that's selling our #1 asset, and I think that's just a shame. So I'll be supporting Councillor Marula. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor White.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm actually more in line with Councillor Jackson. I think it's premature and there's not enough information, and I'm going to give you some examples. First of all, for any viewers, anyone around the table, you need to know that Ontario has one of the highest hydro rates in North America. So clearly the current system is broken. So I want to make that clear. The second piece, of course, is, in regards to Hydro One in the areas that are concerned, I mean, I know that in West Mountain we lost power a number of times, hundreds and hundreds of households. I called Max to see what was going on, and he indicated there was a switch. And I said, well, okay, so who's fixing it? Well, it's Hydro One. So Hydro One, I said, well, what happened? Well, apparently the backup generator was under maintenance, the main generator went out, so they had no backup. And not only did they not have a backup, but they had to bring people in from a great distance that had the specialty to deal with the testing to find out what the problem was. So, and with great delay. This had happened a couple of times on the West Mountain. So I would suggest right now that the system we have is the panacea by any stretch of the imagination. And I know homeowners right now know that they're paying pretty high. In fact, businesses left Ontario because of the hydro rates, because we have one of the highest hydro rates. So we have to look at something and do something different. I don't know if this is the model. I don't know if this is the answer. I know that, and I understand that it's 40% that the province is going to maintain. And I thought one of the provisos was that 10%, you can only buy up to 10%. So there'd be some control plus the regulations and everything else. So the problem is I don't have enough information to formulate a firm position. And that's why I feel it's premature at this point to support it. I don't want to vote against it, but I'm certainly not going to support it without having all the information. Mr. Mayor, so, because that's my position for now, is that we just have the permission to make an informed decision.
Thank you. Councillor Green.
Well, thank you very much, and I certainly appreciate the perspectives as laid out by our learned rabbi earlier. However, I think in order for us to have fully appreciated the position of this current government's intention to sell this asset, I would have liked to have seen this in the provincial election as an election issue if that was their intention to sell hydro. And given that it wasn't, and that we had a commitment from this government for LRT for quite some time now, as I understand, fully funded LRT, I'm not willing to enter into that space that somehow this is a conditional sale. If that was, then I would have liked to have seen that maybe a little bit in the fine print or in some of the headlines or stories as we celebrate that, obviously being very pro-LRT and quite publicly independent of any political partisan party. I can't see an example, and if somebody perhaps around this table can show me an example where privatization has ended in a lower cost for the end user, I'd be happy to see it. But I'm not sure that I've seen that. I'm not sure that I've seen that. And so, not to the end user as their taxes go up, Councillor Johnson, but in this particular case scenario, if you can point to one, my concern is that this is a slippery slope, that we have a government who's making decisions on things they did not campaign on, and so for that, and that reason, I'll be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Very much. Councillor Conley.
Thank you. I won't be supporting the motion.
One second, if you would, gentlemen. A little order, please. Hotly debated, but we're going to debate it collectively and respect each other's opinion.
I won't be supporting the motion. I think it is premature, like I've heard other councillors say. And the Liberal government's got a majority government. We can say our opinion to them. They're going to do what they want. Do you think they're going to change their mind because the city of Hamilton or any other city said, we don't want it? They're not going to. They're going to do their thing. All this is a political motion, really. That's all it is. It's got no teeth. And nothing will happen because of it. We have to look at all the different areas, and I'm waiting till I hear from our partners in the hydro company to see what they have to say. And I don't think they're going to try to steer us wrong. I think they're trying to steer us right. They've always been right with us so far, as I understand, and I think we have to give them a chance. So I won't support it. Because it is premature. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not going at this politically, and I'm not going to even mention the money that was mentioned with the LRT. But I think everyone around this table who's been here long enough knows that every time Max comes here, I ask him, when is Horizon going to take Hydro One away from Glenbrook? Because I'll tell you right now, the rates, and I've got moms who compare apples to apples. Here's Horizon's bills, here's Hydro One bills, and they are completely different. And just today, I got yet another, we've got an outage. 2,400 homes in Bimbrook Village have just gone down again. So if this whole motion was stop the sale and do a complete review of the organization, I'm all over it. But right now, this doesn't answer the problems I'm having out in the rural areas. And trust me, if you had this utility company in your home, you would be looking at this a lot differently. It's easy when we're all sitting, I'm in a Verizon home, and I have that benefit of that wonderful community, or that company looking after my home. But you go talk to the people in the suburbs, and the problems that they're having out there is unbelievable. So I've even got, and I'm not making this up, there's a group of senior citizens on 20 Road right now in 3 villages of adult lifestyle living. And I've got groups of residents out there that are taking petitions up to beg Horizon to take Hydro One away. They want to be taken in with Horizon. So I'm here as a representative of them, and I'm telling you right now, they want to be under Horizon and not under Hydro One. So if we're stopping a sale, we're asking the government to stop the sale, fine, then ask them to do a complete organizational review, and then I'm all over this. But we're not asking them to do that. We're just saying stop the guns and let's not go there. I can't support that. I'm representing my residents who are angry, they're frustrated, and they paid enough bills for that committee or that company, and they want it done differently. They want it to be done with Verizon. So I cannot support this at this time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jackson, if you could take the chair, who's not here, so Councillor Green, if you would. Let me add my 5 cents worth. So some of the misnomers that are kind of floating around are a little concerning. So the $1.2 million or $1.2 billion that the province has earmarked for Hamilton is not coming out of these funds. It's already earmarked in the budget that was previously passed and is not part of the ongoing raising of the funds through Hydro One. So just to confirm that, and notwithstanding what your other projects will rely on these funds for sure going down the road. Hamilton, fortunately, isn't one of them. So we're in that first tranche of funding that comes out of the $30.1 billion that the province had additionally identified for transit and for roads. This is over and above that. So whatever they generate out of this will come out of the funds that are generated through the Hydro One segment. It is not a full-scale privatization. So let's just get over the 407 piece. I mean, it's a great talking point, but they're not selling off Hydro. And it's actually the point that they're actually heading into is the area of 25% of our bill. This is the distribution side of the energy bill. 25% of the overall bill that we're talking about. So the 75% is actually production. That's where the majority of the cost comes in, not the 25% that we're talking about. Horizon Utilities deals with that distribution side. So 25% of the bill that Horizon delivers to each and every homeowner is related to the distribution of electricity in the province of Ontario. And that's what the province of Ontario is talking about. When the city of Hamilton, Ancaster, Dundas, Glanbrook, who else had a utility? Stony Creek, merged their utility, we refinanced that utility to the tune of 60-40. 60% debt equity financing, largely held by private equity. So we in fact created a future fund, a $140 million fund, doing exactly what the province is doing in terms of pulling equity out of their distribution system. Are they giving up complete control? Absolutely not. Are the rates still regulated? Absolutely. The Energy Board of Ontario sets the rates for energy in the province of Ontario. Full stop. Not the operator of Hydro One, not the operator of Horizon Utilities, not the new entity that might be Hydro One with 60% ownership in private hands. It is set by the Energy Board of Ontario, fully and completely controlled by the province of Ontario. So let's not get into the whole privatization model here, because this is not a sell-off, this is not a 407. 407 was a dreadful mistake. A mistake that we'll pay for decades, for a lifetime. As long as the road is there, we will have given up revenue forever. The Sky Dome was in that same category. This is not what the province is proposing to do. And let's not confuse this with the merger, or potential merger, or the material that they're coming back to us with in July about the merger with the other utility called Brampton Hydro One, which is actually, in fact, a takeover of Hydro One customers into a merged entity that includes a number of different partners. So the path to future acquisition of Hydro One is in fact having private interests be a much bigger part of the Hydro One utility that can actually then start to influence the decision-making going forward. Max Canazzi says to me on a regular basis, they have not been successful and likely will never be successful based on the utility that we have here as Horizon and the negotiations they've ever had with Hydro One. Never had any success in convincing them that they ought to transfer the ownership of those Hydro One customers to Horizon One utility. And I don't think that in the foreseeable future, if everything remains the same, that is ever going to happen. So the best path to getting to that is to introduce some private sector influence that doesn't fully control the organization. Rates still set by the Ontario Energy Board, and that then kind of provides the opportunity for Hydro One to have a more business-like approach in terms of how they produce and distribute electricity in the province. I don't think that's a bad thing. Having said that, I don't think, as Councillor Ferguson said, in the context of their just having delivered a significant benefit to the city of Hamilton, that we should in any way stop them from looking at opportunities to raise the kind of dollars that are going to be needed for other projects throughout the province. I mean, you can't suck and blow at the same time. You can't say, we want all this good stuff to happen, but don't go and raise any funds to actually make it happen. The other alternative is raising taxes. So I'm pretty comfortable in terms of the direction. I don't know all the details. Certainly, clearly, this is not connected to what Horizon is dealing with in terms of EnerSource and the other partners that's coming to us in July. Totally separate, not connected at all. One does not impact the other. This one will have a future impact in the city, in the province of Ontario. From my perspective, it'll be a positive impact, not a privatization, still a control measure in place that I think will help mitigate rates into the future. I think we would all like the rates to go down. I don't think that's realistic, but to mitigate rate increases going forward, I think is going to require some new and different processes that currently the province is putting forward. So I'm not going to support this motion. I understand the council is going to take out item 3A or A3, which I think is helpful, but I think the motion is premature. I think, in fact, my understanding is that the province has already passed. That's fine. The province has already passed. All it needs is royal assent. So in many respects, it's already done. We're talking about something that's virtually finished. And so why would we, as the councillor said, kick them in the gut? So I'm not going to support it. I do appreciate there's differences of opinion. That's to be understood. But I think in real terms, I don't think it's being characterized correctly as privatization, but it's certainly a step into looking for opportunities to create a better and more efficient distribution system in the province of Ontario, and I think that's helpful. On that note, those are my comments, Councillor Green. Any additional speakers from you?
You have on the second-time speaker list Councillor Ferguson, followed by Councillor Rula, Mr. Mayor.
Well, and I've already had Councillor Rula on, so I have first-time, second-time speaker Councillor Johnson, then Rula, then Ferguson. Councillor Johnson.
And I understand that Councillor Rula is about to remove item 3. So you're leaving it in? Oh, in that case, I'm extra glad that I chimed in to be a second-time speaker. The first time I spoke, I meant to address item 3. And a complexity that I face is that I think item 3 is reasonable. I think that it would be, so item 3 reads that the City of Hamilton calls on the province to respect the autonomy and local decision-making powers of local distribution companies by not forcing these companies into mergers or sales. I think that's completely reasonable. I'm still going to oppose the motion, and there are a few reasons why I'm going to continue in my support. One being the Ontario government isn't forcing Hamilton to do anything. One very valuable thing that's come out of this conversation, and I'm grateful to the mayor and to others who have clarified this, there is public confusion about our Horizon debate being linked to and part of the debate about 60% privatization of Ontario Hydro. These are separate debates ultimately. Our colleagues at Horizon have been doing a really good job of doing outreach into the community to talk about their evolving business case around Horizon. They were at the Ainslie-Wood-Westdale Community Association making their pitch a few days ago, and we'll talk more about that going forward. The reason I'm bringing that up is While there are certain subtle and complicated links in a big picture sense between the Horizon discussion and the privatization discussion, it's bad to make things more complicated than they are. And in this case, it is fair and right to say that at the end of the day, these are separate discussions. I think the reason they get confused is the word hydro. Simply the word hydro being used at both debates causes people to falsely lump them together. So I'm very pleased that I think one good thing about this conversation, I'd like to thank Councillor Marula for bringing the motion forward, is I think some clarity has been achieved, at least around this table, and I hope in some minds of members of the public who are watching on TV, that these are separate discussions. I'd like to thank everyone for their very thoughtful contributions, Councillor Green and Councillor Partridge particularly. I have a lot to learn about what's going on out in the rural communities with power, and I'm looking forward to learning more going forward, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Marula?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so sorry, I have a first-time speaker, so I'm going to have to ask you to wait.
Oh, no, just specific to the motion, I'm going to be supporting the motion. I think that the mover of the motion and seconder and others who are supporting it are also speaking for a number of people who are very concerned with this. Metrolinx was concerned with it, advised the Premier not to do it. Her provincially appointed a person for the panel on transit and Golden advised against this. It is a commodity, a public commodity like water. I'm glad that a comparison was made. It is an essential service, and it's a slippery slope. I'm convinced on the slippery slope argument, although I do appreciate hearing it was an interesting debate tonight. The other side, Mr. Mayor, including your points and others. However, you know, one of the points made in the indefinite deferral on this issue in Toronto this month, I believe it was, in the motion itself, you know, they did it in Nova Scotia. Rates are higher than any place else in Canada. They didn't do it in the time in the last 100 years where maybe we most likely would have, which was the Great Depression, for the same reasons that we're hearing in the argument tonight, that this is an entity that should be controlled in public hands and not private or whatever other word you want to use to sell off, no matter however you want to slice it. So I'm glad it's here. I'm going to be supportive, but I'm not certain how the vote's going to go. But you know, I mean, a lot of us have been educated through the debate since this item was brought forward, and I'm not turning it into who is more important in my eyes at a provincial government level. I try to stay out of the partisan stuff, same with federal. So this to me is not anything other than an issue that I'm hearing in my community, and I think I'm seeing through the debate over the last few months where this has been a hot topic. Others are very concerned, and so I think municipally all this motion is saying is we ought to speak for the people of Hamilton and offer what we can in terms of where our citizens are on this particular issue. And looking at it historically, it hasn't gone over well. They tried it in '92, I guess, and that didn't quite work then either. So really mathematically, what is it, $4 billion to sell 60% that makes $1 billion a year after 4 years? You don't get the $1 billion a year anymore from this particular public entity. And so really for a 4-year deal, to me, mathematically, and really basic math, that's the strongest argument to maintain this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just to emphasize and clarify what the position is here. So in essence, this is about supporting not selling what is presently a public entity, which our suburban colleagues presently have, and regardless of what the service is present. The fight here is not so much about endorsing what they've done today. It's about the fact that we have a political opportunity to make those changes through elected officials that can support. Once this becomes private, they think their service is bad now, when really what's really at stake is the future. And if you think it's bad now, God help yourselves, because it's only going to get worse, folks. And so this really is an intent to try to protect them from themselves, and they're voting against something that's trying to protect them. Because it needs to come into the Horizon Smiths. The whole intent here is to not only protect the entities in its public interest, but also Horizon can't give up our majority share to Brandon, where we become irrelevant, and we have to answer to Clinton. So now what will happen in essence is that Hydro One will become a private entity. So Ancaster, Denver, all those areas that are now serviced are going to be among probably some guy in Germany controlling this entire scenario. And if they think they're not being heard now, folks, it is the folks all over. And matter of fact, with all due respect, last time we disagreed on a major issue with the state, and we know what happened there. So we don't want.
Let's not debate that.
No, but in all fairness, I'm just trying to forewarn you. I'm trying to help you help yourself. This will be a major mistake. A major mistake. Selling off essential services is not deserving of being elected as a public figure. It's selling off what we own as an asset. Whatever it's worth today, God only knows what it's going to be worth in the future. Folks, this is a drastic mistake. I understand it's not within our jurisdiction, but to endorse it makes you part of the problem rather than the solution. Let's take a step back and look at the government we're dealing with here, about the money and whatever else people are looking at with the mirrors and the bells and whistles. E-health, how many hundreds of millions of dollars was spent on e-health? Gas plants, Air Orange, the Ontario Health Premium, the OLG scandal. So we have people here saying, okay, I trust this government. And I have people saying to me that this is a motion for the NDP. Well, the rebuttals are all Liberal motions. So I guess we're all Liberal rebuttals. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about one thing. We take away all the smoke, all the nonsense. It's one thing. We have a belief. We either believe that certain services must remain public, or certain services can be privatized. From my perspective, if we didn't have a choice between giving up or selling the stake in this essential service over the Liquor Control Board, I say give up the Liquor Control Board. Why are we retaining the ownership of beer and spirits and giving away something that turns the lights on? Like, folks, give your heads a shake for God's sake. And the nonsense surrounding whoever supports us, I must say, and no insult to her, I'm not trying to be insulting, but really, it's moronic. There's no other way of looking at it.
No insult.
And the fact is, we have gone through decades and decades and decades of this privatization, which has been an experiment gone awry, whether it be the water treatment plant, whether it be the blue box scenario here in Hamilton. At the end of the day, you can't compare public sector services versus for-profit international entities who are just there to make money at our expense. And you guys are signing off on this deal. Not that we have any authority over it, but you're endorsing it. How do you sleep at night? God help you, and you will regret this. Mark my words. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor First.
Okay, I just want to rebut a couple of comments made during this long debate. Number one is, that, the comment was made that by approving the Hydro One sale, supporting the Hydro One sale, we're going to water down Horizon. I think, again, we're confusing this, the Horizon merger with Brampton and Mississauga with the sale of Hydro One. This has no debate, has nothing to do with Horizon and merging of the municipalities. In fact, I did already, but I'll do it again. I'll read the email I received today from Mac Cananci saying, Horizon will not be impacted in any way by the sale of Hydro One. And he went on to say that it will probably have more success with a private board on getting the Hydro One organizations into Horizon's control with a private board. Number two, I heard a member of council say, show me one example of where privatization works, a private-public partnership. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're sitting in one. We renovated this building to the tune of $65 million through an integrated team approach, where we partnered with a contractor, and that contractor said if it was over budget, the contractor pays half, because under budget, the city gets half back. The day the keys were turned over to us, which by the way was 4.5 months early, we got a check for $800,000. That worked, and it was a private-public partnership. And it was interesting that the last speaker was comparing. Mr. Chair, I think I have the floor.
So we've all listened respectfully to yours, so you should respectfully listen to everyone else as well. Councilor Curtis.
My last point is that a lot of comparisons were made to the boondoggles of the gas plant, which was Ontario Power Generation Projects, Orange, eHealth. And what do they all have in common? They're crown corporations, just like Hydro One. They're the same, exact same ownership structure as Hydro One today. So that is really stretching the imagination to suggest that they're different. So once again, we don't have jurisdiction on this, and that's why I can't support it.
Okay, thank you. I had Councillor Whitehead for last time.
Thank you, sir.
You said hopefully.
Privatization is not a word of fear. We wastewater, I think it was American Water that we were contracted, it was a privatized deal. We realized that we were taking the risk and they were getting all the low-hanging fruit. We prepared an RFP, ensured that the risk was shared, and they came in much higher than was budgeted. I'm not complimenting, in fact, I'm using it as an example of where it failed. So what happened is the bid went out and the American Water bid, and their contractor, the bid was like $20 million or $30 million over the budget. We ended up taking it in at $30 million, if I remember right at the time, and lived with that budget and provided good service. So privatization doesn't work everywhere. I'd be the first one to agree. But it doesn't mean it doesn't work. Mohawk Quad Pad Arena. It seems to be working very well for the city of Hamilton. That's a privatized model that we supported. We got garbage pickup, privatization. It seems to be working on that. We haven't changed it. I haven't seen any reports coming back and saying that we're not getting a benefit. So I agree that there's always that question mark, but to just, because this privatization word is in play, to fear it, I think is a mistake.
Okay, we've had a fulsome debate, a respectful one mostly, so let's get on with a vote. I assume a standard recorded vote. All those in favor?
83 is staying in now.
It's all in, right. All those in favor of the motion, please stand.
Councillor Duval, Councillor Collins, Councillor Marula, Councillor Green, Councillor Farr, Councillor Partridge.
And those opposed, please stand.
Mayor Eisenberger, Deputy Mayor Jackson, Councillor Whitehead, Councillor A. Johnson, Councillor Connolly, Councillor Pearson, Councillor Brandon Johnson, Councillor Vanderbeek, Councillor Ferguson, and Councillor Pasuda.
Great, thank you. I'm presuming that the motion is flawless. All right, thank you. We move on to 7.2, saving, Councillor Duval, would you please present your motion respecting the saving second base three-pitch tournament?
Mr. Mayor, the motion in front of us is moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Whitehead. It's asking for a special occasion permit for the tournament to be held on July the 19th at Turner Park. And Mr. Mayor, I just want to point out to council that in here I know our Ward 7 resident, Vienna Hutton, who has organized this, and I believe this is her 4th year. And all the money that is raised goes into breast cancer. And she's done a phenomenal job of getting people, organizers. The amount of volunteers she gets is growing every year. But she's also been recognized now for the great works that she's been doing by the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation and the CIBC run that will be held in sometime in August when it's the Canada Pink Week. She's been asked to be the spokesperson for that and to come up. So it's the great work that she's done. It's a great cause, and I fully support this going forward for the Thank you.
Thank you. So moved by yourself, seconded by Councillor Whitehead. All in favor?
Carried.
Carried. On item 7.3, Councillor Farr. Motion on beer festival.
Same as previous motion, Mr. Mayor, just omit second base three-pitch tournament and put in because beer, craft beer festival. in its place. It's a special occasion permit. That's moved by myself, and I do not have a seconder. Councillor.
Seconded by everybody on the right.
Partridge.
Oh, you got to take your pick. Nice, nice. Good choice, good choice. Okay, all in favor?
You still got to support it.
Second. That was item 7.3, right? Item 7.4, Councillor Jackson, if you would take the chair for a moment. I have a motion to put forward. I think the motion is before you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
I have a bright yellow copy here with a lot of whereases on it. It relates to the discussion we had at General Issues Committee on the Port Authority and the Port Authority Liaison Committee. Terms of references was included in your package, and the motion is before you. It essentially sets out the new terms of reference and adds above and over and above Councillors Green, Johnson, and myself, Councillors Farr, Marula, and Collins as part of the liaison committee. The motion is before you, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor White.
By Councillor Whitehead. Yep. Any other speakers, comments on this? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Chair's back to you.
Thank you very much. And going to, once again, Councillor Duval. You have a motion opposing the request for British Columbia to be exempted from anti-dumping.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. This is moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Marilla that we're asking for support. The council support the Canadian steel industry by opposing the request for British Columbia to be exempted from anti-dumping and countervailing duties on illegally imported rebar. Mr. Mayor, in the year 2014, Canada's rebar producers initiated a complaint under the Special Import Measures Act against the illegally dumped and subsidized rebar from the offshore producers. And then in 2015, the Canadian International Trade Tribunal determined in January 2015 that imports of rebar from China, South Korea, and Turkey would injure Canadian producers. Mr. Mayor, we have over 500,000 tons of rebar that are produced a year in Canada. So there's definitely no shortage, and it's fairly traded, competitively priced rebar available in British Columbia from Canadian and other foreign resources. And therefore, it be resolved that the City of Hamilton support the actions of the Canadian International Trade Tribunal, confirming that the importation of rebar from China, South Korea, and Turkey will in fact injure Canadian producers such as ArcelorMittal Dofasco that represent an integral part of the domestic steel industry and are a significant employer in the City of Hamilton and throughout Canada.
Thank you very much. So moved by yourself, seconded by Councillor Marula. All in favor?
Standing recording vote, please, Mr. Mayor.
Very well. Standing recording vote requested. All those in favor? I'll let the record show it's unanimous for those that are here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That decision was for a half hour ago.
Councillor Green, on the motion regarding the patio liquor license.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This is item 7.6. It is the objection to the outdoor area liquor license application for Fregoso Seafood Place and Sports Bar. And I'll skip the whereases. They're just legislative pieces. Therefore, be it resolved that the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario be advised the City of Hamilton wishes to object to the outdoor areas patio liquor license applications for Fregoso Seafood and Sports Bar, 293 Barton Street, as the issuing of the license would not be in the best interest of the public.
Okay, thank you. Moved by yourself, seconded by, sorry? Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Councillor Collins.
I just want to know why, through the chair to Mr. Green, Councillor Green, why are you objecting to it? I'm sure there's a lot of patio areas, outdoor areas along the same street that you're trying to oppose this. So could I have an explanation, please? Why?
Most certainly can, Mr. Mayor, through you. The reason why is that it would not be in the best interest of the public. There's a lot of details towards that, particularly with the revitalization of the street, trying to, can maintain care and control of the neighborhood in that particular regard. I'm happy to take you through the neighborhood to give you a little bit better example, but it's my opinion as the ward councillor that is not in the best interest of the public.
Well, that's so general. I'm just trying to tell. I know we usually approve these, a lot of them, beer licenses and everything. I guess you just don't want to say it in public, and I can understand that. Well, I just want to know the reason why you opposed this one when we approved a lot of them. I mean,
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to rebuttal to that. Mr. Conley, the neighborhood does not want it, and I support the community. I support the neighbors that are in that community. Some of the challenges, it's not in the best interest of the public, that's why.
Okay.
It's always I'm not going to get an answer, so thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I think you did, but notwithstanding, we all have our ability to express our opinion, and Councillor Conley did, and he's entitled to do that. Councillor Maroon.
In all fairness to Councillor Green, he did answer the question. He clearly stated the community did not endorse it, hence that is the answer. I'm sure there will be a day when Councillor Conley will have the community not endorsing something, and I will take that under advisement. Thank you.
Fair enough. Thank you all. So on that motion, all those in favor? Carried. Those opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. Councillor Farr, you have a motion, a notice of motion actually, regarding a special occasion permit liquor license.
Yes, I'm trying to make the rules on this one. So the notice is Hestival. It's a special occasion permit for a liquor license before us. Therefore, be it resolved, City of Hamilton hereby deems Hestival being held in the City of Hamilton this weekend, June 13th, as municipally significant. Indeed, that the following applicant be provided a copy of the resolution for inclusion with their app to the AGCO.
Okay, so can we get to the waiver rules first?
To waive the rules, I do have a secondary councillor rule.
Okay, thank you. On the waiving of the rules, all in favor? Carried. On your motion.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor.
Thank you very much. You understand the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you very much. We do have items of interest. Any other notices of motion, by the way? None? Hearing none? Okay. Items of interest, we can get to the private and confidential shortly, but it's an approval of a number of different appointments, I believe, and that's all we get at. So, on items of interest, I'm going to start with Councillor Connolly and work around this way. Councillor Connolly, you pass. Thank you. Councillor Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few things this evening. First off, just wanted to say thank you. We attended on Monday. You attended at a business, ribbon cutting at a business in Stony Creek. It's the NLS Engineering, new company in Stony Creek in the commercial condominium complex on Millen Road, South Service Road. It was a great event, another great business coming to Stony Creek, and certainly thank you for being in attendance and welcome the company and wish them much success. Also want to just bring to, I'm going to mention it now, and I know it's not until June 27th, the 50th Anniversary Canada Flag Day Festival is going to be held on June the 27th, 2015. Just recommend there's going to be community events all day throughout the Stony Creek. It's a partnership with Stony Creek BIA and Battlefield Museum and Park to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Canada's flag with an all-day festival that'll be along King Street in the good Councillor Conley's Ward 9 and the village of Stony Creek. You can go to this website, www.stonycreekcanadaflag.com, and you can pull up the map and the locations of everything from the music rise to pancake breakfast at the Legion, classic car cruise, art show, Canada Flag Day tent, face painting, fire truck, food trucks, etc. So lots of great events going on. I think you're going to have also the Cotton with Brass, Raised Reptiles, Legion Bagpipe Band, drama show, characters, Raised Reptiles, etc. So it's going to be a great event. Mr. Deputy Mayor, this is the height of our Canada Flag Day Festival events. I'm anticipating this may be our last one as far as holding any more parades or future events. So keep tuned. We'll see what's happening. So I'm hoping and encouraging everybody to come on out and enjoy. Lastly, I just want to mention, and I'm excited that again in Ward 10 we've got another crane. So I have another 9-story building already under construction on the north side of the QEW at Millen Road. It's, I know several residents have been asking since the crane got constructed. It's a seniors retirement complex, and it's a seasons retirement development that's building this. So it's this is phase 1. There will be another phase coming. This whole development down on Green Road, between Green Road and Millen Road, was the one that was approved back in 2010, Mr. Deputy Mayor. This is about, it was approved at the time for 1,100 units. We may be a little less than that right now, but there may be some changes in numbers, but this is the third of 5 projects that are in the hopper to go together. So very, very exciting. And all the waterfront is being constructed as open green space that will be dedicated back by the developers to the city, so it'll be accessible to the public. Again, and on the other note, my other tower that was put up probably about 2011 was Treviso Tower. That was a crane. Well, the crane's completely gone. The building's occupied. So we have that's another seniors retirement, our seniors complex, actually condominium complex. It's sold out. It's full as far as I understand. They're almost all moved in. And I'll tell you, the seniors are already enjoying their garden plots and their bocce. So just a bit of information before 10. Thank you.
Thank you for those updates, Councillor Pearson. Councillor Conley, were you fine? You're satisfied tonight? Thank you. Councillor Brenda Johnson, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just to have a few, actually I have 8. Every Tuesday is the Winona Farmers Market from 3 to 7. This is at St. John's Church at the corner of number 8 and Winona Road. They've done amazing so far. I think it's week 3 coming up. For all these announcements I'm telling you about, you can go to brendajohnson.ca for any more information. Every Wednesday, it's Wheel Wednesday in support of the Bimberg United Church, as well as food trucks come in from 4:30 to 7:30 at the Bimberg Agricultural Society. Every Saturday, it's the Bimberg Farmers Market from 8 o'clock to noon. Drew, who we just gave an award to tonight, he was instrumental in getting the Bimberg Farmers Market started up, and it's all the junior directors of the Bimberg Ag Society that actually oversee the market, and they bring in Zumba lessons and salsa making, and it's really absolutely exciting. This Saturday, it's the Women's Warrior Expo at the Famille Lorraine, and it's free to everyone from 11 to 4. Then we have a mega used book sale for the Glanbrook Home Support from June 22nd to the 26th at the Glanbrook Municipal Center. Strawberry Social at the Erlin Lane Museum. And then I just wanted to count on 2 different constructions that we've got going on right now. One in Winona, Barton Street. The construction is on schedule and it will be done at the end of June. Highway 56, however, just went to tendering after some refining of the design. And that's going to start from Windwood, to Library Lane. This is where it's going to be urbanized, curb sidewalks, the whole bit. And one last note, I would just like to wish my firstborn a happy 32nd birthday for Saturday. So, happy birthday, Brian.
Well done, Mom. Thank you, Councillor Brenda Johnson. Councillor Vanderbeek, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. I do want to point out that the Dundas Farmers Market has begun and runs every Thursday from 3 o'clock on, from now until the end of October. And so we'll be looking forward to that this week. Last week we had a very successful Busker Fest weekend, and thanks to Councillor Terry Whitehead for showing up on Sunday. I ran into him on the street. And the Pan Am Torch Relay is coming on June the 21st through Dundas around 5 o'clock. And so we will be out on the street. There will be some things happening that day. So if anyone's looking for somewhere to go and wants to see the torch, Sunday afternoon, the 21st of June, would be the time to be in Dundas. This weekend, Sunday the 14th, is the Secret Garden Tour for the Carnegie. It's a fundraiser for them and always well attended. And I just want to recognize a couple of things. This week I had occasion to be on Broadleaf Court in Dundas, and 2 different residents brought to my attention their pleasure at the service that was offered by Public Works to them this week. One was Terry McDonald from Rhodes, and the other, I don't know who it was, but it was someone who came and delivered a garbage can and responded really quickly, and both of them wanted me to acknowledge the terrific service they got from those 2 individuals from Public Works, so I'm happy to do that. Last thing I would like to note is that next Wednesday, 17th, is my Dundas Community Council meeting at 7 o'clock in the Dundas Town Hall in the former council chambers. And in attendance will be planning staff to talk about the Parkside impact study that will be coming to us at a later date, just to bring people up to date. And the Royal Botanical Gardens and the Helm Conservation Area staff will be in attendance to discuss the turtles on coots. Thank you for letting me bring that forward tonight.
Thank you for those updates, Councillor Vanderbeek. Councillor Ferguson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Deputy Mayor. Three things. First of all, this is our big weekend for Heritage Days in Ancaster. It's free for the entire day on Saturday at 10 o'clock. There's a parade right down Wilson Street. And all but soapbox derby and other entertainment. It'll be closed until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's also Kids World with lots of things for kids to do, including a merry-go-round, face painting, and rock climbing, and there's just scabs of stuff. So I encourage everyone there that wants to come out at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. Also, our farmers market open today and will run every week through to October. And lastly, June 21st at 3:15. Over is Pope, I think it's down here. He comes to Ancaster at 3:15, the torch, and we expect a large crowd of also for Pan Am games. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Pasuta, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Jackson. This Sunday at 11 o'clock at the Woodland Cemetery, the lower field of honor, the Hamilton Veterans Committee Decoration Day Memorial Service will be held. I'm looking forward to going to that. Actually, we're flying my son out from Edmonton, and our twin 4-year-old grandsons are coming out on Saturday. Ryan, I mentioned this to Ryan, and he said, "Can I go, Dad?" And he's actually bringing his uniform, and he's going to attend, so he's really excited about coming out and represent the military. There's going to be a meeting coming up at Dr. John Seaton School on June the 16th with the school board and city staff, and discussions with the ongoing, the merger, working with us, the community hubs and that. So looking forward to that, attending that. Same night, the Rockland Lions are having the 50th anniversary event at the Rockland Fairgrounds. I'm going to try to juggle both meetings back and forth. So, Golden Horseshoe Food and Farming, I'm on that. I have a meeting coming up again on June the 17th. I believe I was missing GIC, if I'm correct. We have Ray and Joe McConaughey in Frillton. They're celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary on June 20th coming up, and I will be out there. Got a certificate for them, be taking that to them, but it's nice to get out to those people. And Mr. Deputy Mayor Jackson, agriculture is always in the forefront. We had 3 good members of our community here tonight with agriculture. Once again, we've had a difficult spring with dry weather, and now we've got rain and rain and rain. My own farm itself had over 6 inches as of yesterday. We got another downpour again today. It's not good for the crop. It's putting a lot of stress on it. It's driving the nutrients we put in the fertilizer being driven deeper into the ground. The roots can't get to it to get a good start on it. We just need some drier weather and some warm weather. And the frost from a couple of weeks ago has damaged a lot of crop out there, including the apple crop. About 50% or more of the apple crop has been lost because of the frost, but we will survive. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pursuta, for being our voice on behalf of many farmers in this community at the council table. Councillor Partridge, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. And this coming Monday at 3 p.m., I have my Student Advisory Council meeting with Trustee Penny Deeth. This is a joint committee meeting. We have about 15 young people from grade 9 to grade 12 and 1 from university. And they're from all over Flamborough. So good discussion and good advice that comes from them. Waterdown Farmers Market opened the last weekend in May, and it goes right through till October. Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Waterdown Legion. And on Friday, June the 19th, next week, is the Flamborough Relay for Life at Memorial Park in Waterdown, and that starts at 7 p.m. And it's a very heartfelt and well-attended community event. It's just wonderful, and I will be there for the opening ceremonies. And on Saturday, June the 20th, as I've said before, the Carlisle Optimist is having their Duck Dash at Carlisle's Courtcliff Park. That starts at 10:30 and goes until 2 p.m. and it is with Trout Unlimited, who will have all kinds of family fun games there for children, all to do with the environment and learning about the Grindstone Creek. And then of course on Sunday, June the 21st, in Waterdown, we are also having the Pan Am Torch Run, and it's supposed to be in Waterdown at 5 o'clock. So I've heard that same timing from a few people, and I'm just wondering how they're going to be running real fast, let me tell you. It will also be a family fun event. There'll be a barbecue, and it'll be held at the corner of Mill Street and Dundas Street in the center of Waterdown. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And of course, it is Father's Day, so I'm going to wish everyone a very, very pleasant and happy Father's Day. But I'm not done yet. And on the last note, I just wanted to recognize this past Tuesday, well, yesterday was Tuesday, we had a soft launch of our new website for hamilton.ca. And I served on that committee. I believe Councillor Collins was chair, and Maria Pearson, I believe you were on it as well. And I must say, we've decided to do a very soft launch. We're still, working with the public and getting feedback. And in fact, I want to commend staff. The public were really engaged and involved in helping us develop this new website for the City of Hamilton. We've come a long way from the very first time that we sat down and had meetings with staff. It is a great visual image of the city, the branding. I'm assuming everybody's been on the website, but if you haven't, please do go to it, because the feedback we're getting is fantastic. And our residents are able to go to that website, and they can get the information that they're looking for. We've reduced the number of pages on our website by 50% from what the old website looked like. So, through Mike Garrick's team that was working on it, his staff, I particularly want to recognize Jay Adams. Jay really just committed his heart and soul to building this website and delivering on what our public wanted to see and what we on the committee wanted to see. And Mike Krikopoulos as well. They worked together hand in hand along with their team. And I must say, they would make changes, they would bring them before us, we'd shake our heads like this, still not there yet. They'd go back to the drawing board, and what we have today, we can be very, very proud of as a council, as a city, as residents, and certainly as staff. So I want to thank staff so very much for their efforts on this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. And we do have to acknowledge that there is a birthday boy in the room today. Councillor Robert Kazuda's birthday today. He's been very quiet, but how many years, Robert?
2 minutes.
It's a good year. We're married at 62. So happy birthday, Robert Kazuda. See you later. So on that note, you get to leave early. To go to the farm and start plowing and seeding and weeding it. Yeah. Councillor White.
Mr. Mayor, I had the pleasure, was actually one of the previous small business award winners, to spend some time with the original Lloyd Ferguson, Mohawk Ford. They made a significant investment in their facility. They've been there for 40 years. And so it's refurbished, and it looks great. The team is ready to go, and I had the opportunity to be part of the ribbon ceremony. So I want to congratulate Mohawk Ford for their long service to this community. I also, Mr. Mayor, had the opportunity to attend Mohawk College. I believe our Hamilton Wentworth District School Board hosts one of the largest Special Olympics programs in the province of Ontario. And it was a real honor and privilege. It was being hosted at Mohawk College, a great venue. And it was great to look across that lawn. And it really personal with me because of the challenges that these individuals have been able to overcome. It was a sense of pride to be presenting and congratulating each and every one of those young Special Olympians that attended this particular event. So I thank the Mayor for allowing me to represent him at that particular function. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, I want to announce that this weekend, I believe it's this weekend, extend an invitation to the annual Gorley Ward 8 Movie Night at Gorley Park this coming Saturday, June 13th. We ask that you bring non-perishable food items for neighbor to neighbor as admission. There will be a number of activities including a petting zoo, bouncing castle, plus a number of city departments. Festivities start at 6 p.m. with the movie at dusk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Duval.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and I just want to let you know that it was Councillor Jackson's birthday last Saturday, too. He's been getting up there and he got there a little bit, so just thought I'd...
Longest-serving member of this city council,
Mr. Mayor, I just want to give an update about construction, the Consensus Street construction. The staff is doing a great job in Public Works. There's many complaints that have come forward because the detour and the road has been completely blocked off. And our people out there are investigating, putting new signage up, putting speed humps in temporarily to avoid some of the problems that the inside of the neighborhoods are experiencing with speeding, people not listening or not stopping at the stop signs. But I also want to ask this council if any help that you can give out to your residents, if do some shopping up and concession lights being closed down. They're really hurting for business, and anything that's possible that could be up there, they would really appreciate it. So we got a little bit of a rough ride, but it'll be a great ending, but we just got to make sure these people get through that storm. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Jackson.
Mr. Mayor, 3 public service announcements. Tomorrow night, June the 11th at 5:30 to 7 o'clock, St. Margaret Mary Elementary Catholic School is having their year-end barbecue. I'm a proud sponsor of that event, and Teresa Gambelli and her committee deserve a lot of praise. Tomorrow night, June 11th, 5:30 at St. Margaret Mary. Come out and support the barbecue of the children and the graduating year. Secondly, this Saturday, June 13th, a great service joining with a great program. Our Hamilton Public Library bookmobile staff joining with Kathy Archer's Mount Hamilton Kids Club, or Mountain Kids Club, doing a park cleanup at Mountain Drive Park this Saturday, June 13th from 12:30 to 3 in the afternoon. So for the kids and the families who love the bookmobile will be there at Mountain Drive Park this Saturday, along with Kathy Archer's volunteers cleaning up Mountain Drive Park. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, if you haven't got your tickets, few are left for the big Seniors Annual Awards Night and Gala, Citizen of the Year for the seniors at Michelangelo's Banquet Hall, Tuesday, June 23rd, 5 o'clock. Tickets still available. Lisa Maychuk has them. She's done a great job coordinating, and a lot of my colleagues last year were there. Over 600 people attended. We're hoping for a great crowd as well. Tuesday, June 23rd, come out and honor and thank our seniors for all they do volunteering in this community. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilor Green.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to report that this past weekend, Lifesavers Park, which for those of you that remember Lifesaver Factory, Cumberland, Sanford, in partnership with FPM3 Marketing, went through an extreme makeover, and I believe that we are maybe perhaps the first park, certainly in the city, and if not perhaps in the country, to have the very first solar park in charge. Solar Park in Charge is a solar station that allows people to plug in their electronic devices. It has the potential for some wireless capabilities there in the future, as well as showing community films. So there's a little screen there. It's fantastic. I want to give a real big shout out to Tennessee, Kara and Alex Moreau's in that Parks Department. I can tell you there was times in the weekend, and I know because I was there, where the volunteers were scarce at sometimes, and staff did the yeoman's work on that park to make sure that it came in. Fantastic job. And on that note, on Monday, June the 15th, there's going to be the live airing of the Giver episode when Powell Park was done. So similar work, it was actually a television show they shot, and again, the same crew from Parks there with Tennessee and the crew did a fantastic job. They're continuing to do great work in the parks there, and just wanted to give them that shout out. This Saturday coming up, Gage Park, this will be kind of one of our first preliminary Pan Am celebratory type events. There's going to be a family fun day put on by Eagle Worldwide Ministries. They often serve 400, 500 people in Gage Park. It really is something to see. I came across it last year. This year they're going to have a Pan Am flavor, celebrating some of the events there. So I know their volunteers are incredible with the work that they do down at their kitchen. So fantastic stuff there. We have on Thursday, June the 18th, as I mentioned in the last meeting, Walk a Mile in Shoes. We did get that order in, Councilor Pursuta, so we got the big size 14s there for you. Noon, a fantastic event. And then Friday, June the 19th, we have the National Aboriginal Days Soaring Spirit Festival. I believe it begins on the 19th and then will happen over the weekend. So we can already start to feel that things start to ramp up in Ward 3. Anticipating Pan Am and some of the celebrations that are happening there. What I'm always struck by is the diversity and the multicultural nature of the events that are happening in our ward. Certainly something our city can be proud of. So like to put the invitation out there to everybody, obviously Gage Park being the crown jewel of the city, to come down and enjoy those events. So that's all I have. Happy to report, Mr. Mayor, and hope to see you guys then.
Thank you. Councilor Park.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I've seen you at a few of the events in the past, of course, and I'll probably see you at a bunch in the future. There's a lot happening in our community, and I don't normally review, but what a full Saturday. I want to thank my wife Lisa and my son Jake for joining me from about 8 a.m. to about 8 p.m. We had as many 101 events throughout the ward, let alone probably hit a couple in other wards throughout the day, and in between. The downtown mosque had a massive yard sale, hugely successful. We started the day with the neighborhood development grad, so thanks to our neighborhood development staff and the community foundation, and congratulations to all the people who went through their training and deserved the ceremony on the 21st floor of the Stelco Tower. And also a big thanks, wasn't a 101 event. I can't, there's too many to name, obviously, it's right there in the title, but thanks to Evergreen for throwing that together, and the hundreds and hundreds of volunteers in the community with very creative ideas. But thanks as well to the Royal Hamilton Yacht Club. We went to the Sail Pass for lunch, and just as the Sail Pass, the annual Sail Pass, I know you've probably been many times, occurred, the wind changed direction. So it was almost like bumper boats with $1 million yachts. It was mayhem, and Colin, the bona fide volunteer there for many, many years, was commentating. So not only was it a comedy, but it was also a thriller, and it was great drama. No one got hurt. No one actually bumped into each other, but boy, was it close. It was quite a spectacle, and not an afternoon I will soon forget. A whole bunch of stuff happening, Gore Park Summer Promenade. Hell in the Harbor finally happens. I think I've been plugging it for 3 months now here at Council, but it's this Saturday, and I'm honored to be honorary chair, and thanks to our seat people and all the people in the corporation of the City of Hamilton who not only have helped put it together, but there's probably over 100 now that are participating, including our own City Manager Chris Murray, and I believe that you can spot his team because there'll be t-shirts with his head on the t-shirt, the likeness of Chris Murray participating. Scaling walls, climbing ropes, doing all that. Stinson Movie in the Park, 9th Annual Beasley Summer Barbecue, the Village Station Bazaars that start this Sunday if you get a chance. Ferguson Station, great stuff there. Walk, Wheel, and Roll, Muscular Dystrophy Fundraiser, the Bracamoutes, Maria del Monte Festival in June, the St. Lawrence Church 125-year celebration, Sunday, June 21st. Pan and Torch run throughout Hamilton, Gage Park, Gore Park. I don't have a time here, but to say that I guess it's 5. The International House Pan Am viewing that's going to be happening. Most of your Pan Am events that are occurring in Ward 2, all of that and then some at jasonfarr.com. And finally, Mr. Mayor, congratulations to all the graduating classes that between now and our next council meeting, so many kids will be off and ready to go. Lively, I'm sure, into this good summer, and I leave with a reflection on one I graduated with from elementary school and from high school too, who was a dear friend, great guy, gentle giant, Dave McKinley, gone way before his time. There's so many of us from the Queen Mary days and Delta days that are still kind of perplexed that he's no longer with us, but it's the whole McKinley family and the hundreds and hundreds of friends who he so positively affected. We're going to miss Big Dave McKinley. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilor Johnson.
Thanks very much, Mayor Fred. Instead of the normal rundown of interesting and notable things happening in Ward 1, I just wanted to say a few words about the terrible fire that took place yesterday morning at Strathcona Gardens. As you know, Mr. Mayor, Strathcona Gardens is our Hamilton City Housing apartment house for low-income senior citizens in Ward 1. It faces onto Victoria Park. And very early yesterday morning, a terrible fire ripped through the 10th floor of Strathcona Gardens. The Hamilton Spectator has published the name of the woman who died in the fire, so I'm able to share it. The woman who died was Leslie Prince. I did not know Ms. Prince, but I am friends with several people who live in Strathcona Gardens. I have the pleasure of working with our seniors in Strathcona Gardens on a regular basis in my counselor work. And coincidentally, just a few days before the fire, I spent the afternoon at Strathcona Gardens at the AGM for Strathcona Gardens and spent the day chatting with residents there about their concerns about darts, about Victoria Park, and a variety of other concerns. Their concerns are very different today. I would like to thank our fire department for all the great work that they've done at Strathcona Gardens over the past 2 days. I'd like to thank Tom Hunter, who's our acting head of City Housing Hamilton, for doing great work over the past 2 days working on this crisis. We had support workers, social workers on site to counsel those members of the Strathcona Gardens community who were in shock and who were traumatized by this event, particularly the friends of Ms. Prince. And so, if we could just have a very brief moment of silence for Leslie Prince. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. So a couple of quick things on my end, not too many, hopefully, and we can wrap this up. Just to acknowledge the good work of Councillor Green and proud of the Ward 3 rally that was held as it related to the gunplay and concern over what was going on in that community. We, Councillor Green and myself decided we were going to make our presence felt there and let people know that we care about their community as we do any other, and that we were going to do everything humanly possible to ensure that safety was paramount there and that the police were going to be part of that ongoing effort. So we appreciate the good work of Councillor Green, and the community came out and was very energized and proud to be Ward 3, which is a rally cry that Councillor Green can do a lot better than I can. The Seniors Month kickoff was at Sarcoa this past week. It was really the beginning of an entire month of seniors activities, including leading up to the Seniors Awards coming up later on in the month, and I encourage everyone to participate. It's going to be spectacular. Of course, we had the Bay Area Economic Summit, which is a successful partnership with Burlington, discussing issues of common interest that I think ended up, we'll get a white paper actually from the Chamber, indicating some of the commonalities and things that we can work on together. And I think that's spectacularly important. I think very positive. I want to congratulate Stephanie and Guy Caparella for a very innovative art project fundraiser across the street for folks with challenges. Some people talk about raising funds for certain causes and projects, and other people actually do them. And Guy and Stephanie have been active in that field for many, many, many years. And I was a proud owner of a nice print, in fact, that one of the residents at the Autism House did, and it'll be hanging on the wall in the office there before too long. It's actually very impressive. The art was great, and some of the artists were there, and really, really great work raising some funds for us. So great work there. And then we were at the Italian Heritage Awards of Distinction on Saturday night. It was a great gala event and a lot of awards given out. Especially a couple of awards to Fern Viola that was here earlier for a Lifetime Achievement Award on his behalf in the Italian community. And equally an award given to former Mayor Bob Morrow for his long connection to the Raccamaltese and other districts of Italy, and his passion for the diversity of our city, but specifically from the Italian community. They thought it appropriate to recognize Bob's long history of involvement and attachment to that particular sector of the Italian community, as he was to all parts of our community going forward. On a sad note, I do have to acknowledge the passing of the patriarch of the HSR, Frank Cook Sr. For those of you that knew Frank Cook, he was just over 100 years old when he passed. He was active and engaged up until the last couple of months, totally physically there and mentally there, and a brilliant guy, a great leader in our community. He'll be sorely missed by the Cook family, and we certainly pass our condolences on to them. And last thing, I'll end with this. Every Wednesday afternoon here in the forecourt, I encourage you all to get on your spandex and Lululemons and come and join us and do some yoga, which I did today with great joy. Through lightning and rain, we survived, but it was a good thing to come out and do, so I encourage you all, and the community at large, to come out, participate, be active. Being active is being healthy, and so whatever you can do, be sure to get out there and do it. But if you want to spend some time with us on Wednesday afternoons, it'd be a great thing to do out here in the forecourt, so I encourage you all to participate. That's all I've got for today. So on that note, we have a motion, we require a motion to approve the in-camera recommendation, or sorry, it's the stallholder's appointment to the Hamilton Farmers Market Board of Directors. So moved by Councillor Whitehead, seconded by Councillor Duval. All in favor? Carried. Carried. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion, we don't need to do that. Deputy Mayor Jackson may have a motion on the bill list, please.
Mr. Mayor, you may. Moved by myself, once again seconded by Ward 7 Councillor Scott Duval, that bills number 15-144 through to number 15-153 be passed, that the corporate seal of the City of Hamilton be affixed thereto, that the bylaws be numbered, signed by you, your worship, and City Clerk Rose Catarini to read as follows.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Carried. They read as follows. Bill 144. Carried. 145. Carried. 146. Carried. 147. Carried. 148. Carried. 149. Carried. 150. Carried. 151. Carried. 152. Carried. 153. Carried. May I have a motion